Racetrack, fillies and mares battle in the ladies. Our Saturday features Saddle Up Jessie was one of the great claims from last year for a trainer who became the first female to end the year on top in Maryland. She goes for back-to-back stakes wins today. We'll also bring you the second half of the card from Oaklawn Park, including the Pippin Stakes, where graded stakes placed Ice Orchid was sensational in this win in Louisville. Today she gets another shot at two mares who outfinished her in last month's Mistletoe. And who collected points on the Triple Crown Trail for this year's run for the Roses? We'll recap today's Derby prep in the Jerome, and drum roll please, the rich get richer. That's coming up all on this Saturday edition of America's Day at the Races. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Good to have you with us here at South Ozone Park, New York on a chilly Saturday afternoon with a stakes race ahead here in New York. We'll recap that. Jerome, Greg Wolf, Andy Serling with you. And in that, ladies, you got these big name trainers, Todd Pletcher, Brad Cox, Christophe Clement, but it's Brittany Russell coming in from out of town with Saddle Up Jessie, who's the morning line favorite.
It's a big name down in Maryland where she wins at quite a high percentage, and she hasn't shown that much success in New York, though she still is winning her share of races, and she's bringing a horse in that's in very, very good form. This feels like a race where at least 4 or 5 of them are major contenders in here, and she's been in very good form. We'll see how things work out for her.
That's coming in race 8, 3:47 Eastern post time for the main event here at Aqueduct. Let's take a look at what's ahead on the program. Presented by Claiborne Farm. So races 6 through 9, pick 4 coming up on the fast going here at the Big A. And we'll take you to Hot Springs, Arkansas. Paul LaDuca on site. Muddy conditions currently in Hot Springs. The late pick 5 begins in race 6, and that feature in the Pippin Stakes. Part of our coverage on this Saturday afternoon as well. You can play all of it by getting signed up, started with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. That's the offer for new members. That $200 deposit match sign-up bonus. Punch in that code to get it. Match 200. That sign-up right there at nairabets.com. So let's get into this late pick 4 coming up. Race 6 to kick it off. New York Reds, maiden special weight, so nobody with a win in this field coming up. 6.5 furlongs. Seems like a wide open race, but the public right now all over Eclipse Dream, who was 9-2 morning line, Andy.
I guess they didn't lose enough making this horse 5-2 in his debut when he did no running after some trouble to start. So they're going to just send it in even harder the second time out.
Here's Friday, I'm in Love at 3-1.
I'm betting him to wire the field.
Captain Party, been off since June.
Yeah, he's a turf horse trying the dirt. If he could transfer that dirt for him, he could. He could be
dirt
effective.
debut after 4 turf starts. Here's Messi the Magician, blinkers on.
I know this horse ran very well first time, but it was maiden claimers. Claimed by Cantor Moss. I think a long shot worth at least throwing in somewhere in the bottom.
A lot of losses, 0 for 22, but some races that make him a player, Scherzando.
Yeah, and better going shorter, though also better on the turf.
So here's the favorite we just talked about, Flip's Dream.
He had trouble at the start, so maybe he'll be more forwardly placed. Who knows what happened first time. Seems tough to take a short price, though.
Pascal Moon, we'll see next. They're coming up onto the track here, 9-1 for trainer Rachel Sells.
A bit of a wide trip last time, but really a wide trip to nowhere.
And flying in style on the outside. Blinkers on, trained by Charlie Baker.
I think if you're looking for a price, this horse will benefit from being outside. The only excuse I can make for the last race is he reacted to taking dirt for the first time in his career. He was running at the end and galloping out well, if you like those things. I think he'll run better on the outside. He has figs to make him a contender.
So again, those that want to play the pick 4, it begins in this race. Coming up, over $74,000 in that pool. And you can get all the stats on today's action with the horses, jockeys, trainers by downloading free Equibase past performances. Go to naira.com/TV schedule to download this free PPs. We check in for the first time today with Maggie Wolfendale downstairs. Hi, Maggie.
Hey, Greg, and we do have those accelerated post times here at the Big A with the impending foul weather coming in, and I can tell you it certainly feels like snow out here as the skies are gray and it is crisp. As I am going to land on the same horse as Andy in here Friday, I'm in Love. Like the effort last time, looks fantastic. But let's talk about the horse who is taking all the money right now at 9-5, Flip's Dream, number 5, and wasn't in the paddock for the debut, but what I could gather from that replay is that he looked like quite a big animal. He is. There's a lot of size, a lot of scope to this guy. So sometimes those types, they don't break that well. And he did get off to an awkward beginning. He looks very fit to me. You got to wonder sometimes does that become a habit with these types of horses? Always willing to give one the benefit of the doubt coming in that they're going to break better. But again, just a really big guy that sometimes those ones, they take a little while to get into stride too. As we'll check in with a horse trying the dirt for the main first time, that's number 2, Captain Party. I gotta say, this guy has some dirt pedigree and doesn't look overly turf to me. Son of McLean's Music, the dam was a multiple stakes winner on both the dirt and the turf. Great at stakes place, going long on the dirt. And I think he's a little bit interesting switching surfaces here. First time out for Dave Donk, looks great, is sharp too. So we'll see what he does here, as he'll also have to turn back in distance. And then number 7, Flying in Style. I agree with what Andy said about this guy. He definitely did not react kindly to taking dirt for the first time. So those small shortcut blinkers go on. Look for this guy, especially breaking from the outside, to be quick again, like we've seen him in some of his previous efforts. He just is really strong behind the saddle, has that big engine to propel him out, and I think he's going to be much more comfortable with the post position today, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. Yeah, he's been quick in the past. Blinkers on. You got to expect they're going to see speed from him. Public, though, Andy, remaining with that horse whose debut took all that money, and he did get squeezed and had to drop back early on in that debut.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? But, you know, you're taking a horse, got bet first time, and obviously had some trouble. He may well win this race, just not a horse I would take at a short price. But when he beats me, I won't be shocked.
That is the 5-horse Flipstream. Kendrick Carmouche riding for Bruce Levine. 9-5 on the board as we get set for the start of this Saturday late pick 4 here from South Ozone Park, New York. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin to kick things off.
Moon. Flying in Style to the outside. Flying in Style goes in. All set. And they're off. Speed from in between horses, Messy, the Magician, right out to the front, and Pascal Moon out wider as a clear second, tightly at the rail. That's Friday, I'm in Love, who wants to push on through, and Friday, I'm in Love will push the tempo here, but Messy, the Magician, is going to hold that position and clear off, is up by 3/4 of a length. Now checking there's Friday, I'm in Love, who's back to third, gets passed by Pascal Moon towards the outside, and there's Flipstream. So now Friday, I'm in Love is back to 4th, as Flying in Style is going to track in 5th in the blue cap. Second to last is Captain Party with the trailer, Scherzando. Less than a half mile to go, 23-4. The opening quarter mile for Messy, the Magician, at 10-1. Here comes Flipstream, the favorite. Right up alongside is within a half length of the leader. Friday, I'm in Love. Jose Lescano at the ground-saving trip towards the inside of a fully extended Pascal Moon. Captain Party is in 5th. From the back, Scherzendo's trying to rally on with Flying in Style. 48.52 for the half-mile time. Messy, the Magician, is still in hand, and Messy, the Magician, now kicks for home. Messy, the Magician, is finding more. Flipstream continues to chase. Grandstand side, it's Pascal Moon. On the far outside, here comes Flying in Style, who's rolling late. Messy, the Magician, inside the final furlong, though, is 3 lengths clear. It's Messy, the Magician, inside the final 16th. Flying in Style and Scherzando, they're rallying on, but they're not going to catch. Messy, the Magician, gets the win. Messy, the Magician, looked like Pascal Moon re-rallies there to get second. Then a photo, Flying in Style, with Scherzando in 1 minute 21 and 3.
Lionel here in the 6th. Messy, the Magician, blinkers on. Big step up in class. And this 4-year-old responds.
Well, when the 1 didn't break, and, you know, Jose was kind of tried to rush up in there, but this horse is fast. I mean, he chased a very fast horse in Sharp As last time. This horse was able to clear. It turns out the 5's a bit of a phony. They've bet him both times, not an excuse today. He's just not really very good, and he was able to control on the front end. A great claim by the Cantor Machis, and you don't see a lot of horses, you know, in maiden claiming races, even though they're state breds, move up and do this, but he dominated in the front end, and happy for them to win. Nice job by Manny Franco. He didn't have to deal with the kind of speed he had to deal with last time from Sharp As. I'm just annoyed the 7 couldn't get up for second, but he certainly had his chance.
10-1 upset here to start this late pick 4, with a second-time starter taking a big jump up in class, first off to claim. You know, initially look at the past performances and you see these connections. We're very crafty. Matt Cantermachi, we've done a lot of features on these brothers who have had some great success here, including with Evie Jets. And to jump this horse up off the claim, obviously they saw something that made them think this horse could be successful at this level.
You know, this horse cost a lot of money, and he took money first time out, and he chased a fast horse. Now, obviously, they couldn't have known that he was going to run the way he did, but they took a shot, and good for them. I mean, $70,000 purse. So the winner's share is about $38,500 after you pay the jockey. You got more than you paid for this horse. Right away, they have already paid for this horse, and he obviously has a little bit of ability, and it's never bad to have a nice speed horse in your barn.
Very good claim from that barn, but an even better claim we're going to see coming up at our feature today in the ladies. Brittany Russell claimed Saddle Up Jesse for $20,000. Horse has now won back-to-back races, including a stakes race last time out, almost $150,000 this past year.
Can't imagine a better claim than that, by the way, buddy. All right. But no, obviously it's a very good claim by Brittany Russell, and she is one of these trainers, and you see this in the game that really improves horses. They get into her barn, and it's not rare that they improve substantially, and this is one of them. Now, listen, this horse wasn't that, well, actually, I mean, look at this horse. Turf, mostly turf, to be fair. And to be fair, her one turf race for Brittany wasn't really that much better than her other turf races. I think what Brittany Russell discovered about this horse is she wants to go long on the dirt. Now, obviously she's improved for her, but sometimes in training, it's just a matter of getting your horse into the right kind of spots. And she saw this horse as a horse going long. Think of that horse that Linda Rice claimed last year, won our distaff, I think. Her name escapes me, but that was a horse that's been going short. You stretch the horse out, and she had an enormous amount of success. You've got to find what horses do well. If you're running them at things they don't do well, they certainly have no chance at being successful.
And so Saddle Up Jesse, one of several contenders, but that is the morning line favorite in that feature still to come. Later on in the card, Sheldon Russell in town to ride, looking for back-to-back stakes wins. Earlier on in the card, we had a Derby prep in the Jerome, and a name worthy of being a Triple Crown contender. Drum roll, please, looking sharp. We'll talk about his chances going forward as the trail continues right after this.
American Oaks.
Forte to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Eclipse champion Blame, standing at Claiborne Farm.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Back with you on America's Day at the races. Light rain coming down here as our 6th in the books. We get set for the start of the cross-country Pick 5. Our program brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually, well, familiar face in the winner's circle in these parts here. Manny Franco on Messi, the Magician, at 10-1.
Yeah, well, Manny broke sharply and just kept on going. And, you know, when a horse like Friday I'm in Love, who I had liked, when that horse breaks slowly, you're behind the 8 ball. And listen, Jose Lozcano tried to get him in there, but Manny said, no, I'm riding speed. I got the advantage. I'm going. And he kept on going here and was a controlling winner. And he really improved off the claim for the Canter Machis. But I think one of the lessons here is to be fair. And he did improve a bit, but he also didn't have to deal with the speed of Sharp As like he did last time. The difference between, especially this time of the year, New York-bred maiden specials and New York-bred maiden claimers is not as extreme as it is in other times of the year, and it certainly isn't as extreme as it is with open horses. I'm still bitter that 7 didn't get second.
Time to get over it with the 7th coming up.
I'm not over it yet, Greg. I don't care what you say.
Allowance optional claiming field. We always remember the beats.
All right, I'm over.
Still fresh in your mind. Okay, good. Wow, High Oak, what a great story this horse has been for Belmont. Obviously owned by Lee Einsteidler, a horse who was so good early in the career, grade 2 Saratoga Special winner. Then had an incident in a race and just kind of lost his way. Even though he's working so sharp in the morning, couldn't find his way on the racetrack. All of a sudden, he's refound that form.
And I think Katie Davis has to get some of the credit for that as a horse that just wasn't running for other riders for whatever reason. When Katie took over in Saratoga, suddenly he responded, and he's run some very credible races. Now, he was in tougher spots. His race with Irad was good. He had no chance last time in the way the track was playing, especially in Cigar Mile, and he doesn't class up to those horses anyhow. He's very logical in here, and I'm glad to see Katie back on. We have to be nice. Lee did bring us lunch today.
Yeah,
so
he
have
did.
to be nice.
We thank Lee for that. He's always good to us. And High Oak's been... It's fun to see this horse just back running very good races again. It looks like, I thought, looked like a standout in this race.
No, and he was a horse that was on his way to being one of the best horses of his year, and obviously took a long time to get over. I mean, there's one thing to get physically ready after an injury. A lot of times they never get over it mentally.
This race is going to start off a cross-country Pick 5. So races 7 and 8 here in New York, including that ladies, and then races 8, 9, and 10 at Oaklawn. 50-cent minimum wager. Kicking off shortly. Get your tickets together. Let's bring in Jonathan Kenshin. JK, how are you going to tackle this cross-country Pick 5 today?
Yeah, I'm going to do it with a single in the first leg and a single in the last leg. I like playing multi-race wagers like that when it allows it. I don't try to do it, but when it happens, I like it because you get beat in the first leg. You got a lot of options. You can come back. You're not sitting around wasting time and then getting snapped in the fourth leg. And if you can get alive to one horse at the end, then you know what you're alive to. And you can also maybe do some other things with some other horses you were worried about. I'm going to start with the single in the 7 in the first race with the 7th race with the 7, High Oak. I'm going to use 4 horses in the second leg, 2, 4, 5, and 6. And then I'm going to use 3 horses in the third leg, 6, 9, and 10. The 6, Ardenwood, the 9, Money Supply, and the 10, Escapeologist. And then in the fourth leg, I'm going to use 4 horses here. The famous, Wolfie, I know you love it here, the all but one, baby. It's my favorite move out there. 1, 2, 3, and 5. I think that's a pretty wide open race. I think one of those 4 horses has to win it, though. And then to wrap it up, I'm going to use the 8, Sun Thunder, in the finale of this cross-country Pick 5.
Well, JK, you know, if that was my ticket, that means one thing, all in on the 4 in that 9th. I'm almost unbeatable when I go all but one. It's a dangerous way to go, but it does look like those are the 4 main players in that race.
If Jonathan doesn't at least have that one covered, then I give up. But I would use the 1 in 5.
That.
I'd use the 1 in 5 in there only.
It's happened way too many times. Muddy conditions in Hot Springs, Arkansas. We're going to get into more of their action coming up. 6 minutes away from their 4th on the card. We'll have the post parade right after a short break. Stick with us. America's Day at the Races on FS2 continues right after this.
It's a domineering display by the ultra-talented McKenzie.
McKenzie in a dominant performance.
200 right there. 1,200,000. 25, 550. Mitchell, 550,000.
And now 500. And 500,000. Thank you.
450, 75. 475,000.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
They say breed the best,
broke well on the outside, and
but you don't expect to get speed like this.
It is Vacoma, the one to catch. Vacoma has a 5-length lead in this grade 1 quarter. Vacoma continues to battle on down at the rail. It is Vacoma who's going to win the Met Mile.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. Race 4, approaching the 3-minute mark to post here at Oaklawn Park. 6-furlong sprint. And Arkansas-bred runners in the starter optional claiming race. Favorite Bohemian Bow. And here's a look at this 4-year-old who tried to go gate to wire last start and backed up to second late. And that was against Open Company.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, I thought this horse was probably the horse to beat, the main speed, supposed to try to control.
Navy SEAL 4-time winner.
Yeah, the lack of speed for this horse in the race, it doesn't appear to have much pace, is problematic.
Biggest price on the board. Here's Allo Henry.
Yeah, and understandably a big price in here. Would have to improve and just doesn't seem good enough.
Peace Dog has some races to go back to that make him a player. He's 11-1.
I agree. And he's run okay races at Oaklawn before, and he's another horse that can be at least a little bit forward.
Two major players we'll see next, and they're both coming off lengthy layoffs. King Peanut first, who faced the horse that just finished ahead of him. We'll see in a moment.
Turning back from a route to a sprint, Danny Pites over the last 5 years, he's 0 for 24 with 5 in the money. Feels like a prep.
And here's the one that just finished a neck in front of that horse when they met back in May.
Also feels like a bit of a prep for a trainer who doesn't have particularly good numbers turning back, and that's the problem. I think these horses are just in this race needing a race.
Dan 110 Stadium, Ron Moquette had a race, well, was off from similar layoffs to the 6 and 7, but does have a race back.
Well, the turn back almost worked for this one last time. The question is whether or not it's going to work now that he's run the sprint the last time. And he's a deep closer in a race where the talent seems to be forward.
2 minutes to post. 4th race coming up. We're going to check in for the first time today with Paul Laduca. Paulie, we just talked to Jonathan Kinchin. He used 4 out of 5 in that feature in the Pippin later today. Yeah. Kind of shows you how tough a race that is coming up.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a different dynamic than what happened last time when Butterbean won. You know, Lovely Ride in there who won the Pippin last year, going to look for back-to-back wins. I think she's loose on the front end. I'm kind of with Andy with the 1 and the 5, but I don't blame Jonathan at all. And they're going with Misty Vale and using Ice Orchid on the outside. I'm just a little bit worried about Ice Orchid as a horse that she kind of just doesn't want to finish the job. Now, you can also say with Lovely Ride, she might be a different horse without Lasix, but I just think she gets an easy lead today, and maybe this racetrack will carry her. You know, this racetrack was muddy, and we thought it might dry out a little bit, but it's about 25 degrees out, and just the weather has kept it pretty muddied. You know, and it's played pretty fair. It looks like a couple horses have gone gate to wire, but they've been somewhat of the favorites, been pretty formful so far. So we're on to race number 4. And you know what Andy said? He took the words right out of my mouth. You know, the 6 and the 7 here. The 6 is a beautiful Archie bred King Peanut by More for the Money. And he's obviously very, very talented. Win by 7 lengths first time out. Went over a sloppy racetrack. Lost to Lockmore. Lockmore came back to win last weekend. So, I mean, this horse obviously has a ton of class. But the 6 and the 7, Willow Creek Road, who's not far behind King Peanut, obviously, because they ran 1-2 in the Arkansas Breeders' Challenge for $200,000. Like Andy said, is this a prep? Is this the time where the 1 can catch them kind of sleeping on the front end, because when you look at the pace of this race, this horse should control. Now, I'm not a fan of horses that have 4 lengths clear in the stretch and they get run down. But Spen Benjamin's won that race from dead last. So, you know, I know that King Peanut's got the best of Bohemian Bow in the Rainbow last year, but he didn't have really a clear lead. So I'm thinking Bohemian Bow can take this field gate to wire. The 6 and 7 are going to show up late in here. I think they're talented. I just think this is the time now to maybe beat the 6 and the 7 Bohemian Bow.
Paulie, thanks. Yeah, public seems to agree with that race under the belt last time out. That was very good. It's going to be forward, has the rail, and this, as he said, the time to catch those 2 talented runners coming off long layoffs.
But he has a little bit of that. Last time was the time, right, when he was 15-1, and now he's under 2-1 off that race. And I agree with Paulie conceptually. Big leads, you feel like he's supposed to win. But he was 15-1 that day, so it's not like he was supposed to win.
Back here in New York, 7 furlong allowance optional claiming field coming up in the 7-5 favorite as we go to Maggie Wolfendale. High Oak, is it finally his time to get back in the winner's circle, Maggie?
It definitely gets some class relief here, Greg, as we do have some light snow falling here at the Big A. It's so beautiful. I love the snow, but it also, you know, plays a factor into the racetrack a little bit, because at this time of year, when it's this cold, there's a lack of water on it, right? So I think it is a little difficult for horses to make up ground, particularly horses that are trying to run into the kickback. Just because it's a little heavier, it stings a bit more. Anyway, High Oak always looks utterly fantastic. Every single time he's brought over, every single year that he runs. Just a little worried about his style, to be fair, but at least he's drawn towards the outside. We'll see Katie Davis as he's reunited with her and some of their better efforts coming together. She can orchestrate the right kind of trip. As to his inside is number 6, Joey Freshwater, who does have a little bit more pace. He is coming off of a somewhat poor effort at Parks, but you know, sometimes what happens at Parks stays there, but then again, his Saratoga effort, not great either. And he comes in here fresh, though. He has a bright demeanor. He looks fit and ready to go here for Linda Rice. I like seeing that in a horse that over the time, over last year, got pretty good. We'll see if he can get back to some of those better races, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. We'll have that post parade coming up. Right now, loading up in Hot Springs for the 4th at Oaklawn, 8-5 favoritism to Bohemian Bow from the rail. Going to try and utilize that speed with Julian Leperoux. We'll see if these 2 Arkansas-bred runners, well, it's an Arkansas-bred race, but who have been so talented last year off a long layoff can make an impact. Kim Peanut, Willow Creek rolled to 6 and 7, returning off the bench. Matt Dinnerman, the call of the 4th.
We're ready to go. And Laroff, Allo Henry in the green jacket broke alertly, isn't quick enough to go to the front. Bohemian Bow from the inside, offensive-minded. Peace Dog alongside the gray to press the pace. Bohemian Bow leads the way a half length. Peace Dog keeping the pressure on from the outside. A length and a half to a lineup of runners. King Peanut, Willow Creek Road, Allo Henry, and Navy Seal. Those 4 stretched across the track. Only 2 off the leader, Bohemian Bow. And 110 Stadium is the trailer into the forward turn. It's the favorite. Bohemian Bow into that turn, sails a length and a tail ahead. Peace Dog second, right behind him. Navy Seal third. Willow Creek Road shaken up from the outside of him. King Peanut has lost a couple spots. He's trying to re-rally from there. 110 Stadium kicks it in now. He's passed a couple runners, is on the outside, needs to quicken now. He's under pressure. Allo Henry's dropped out of it, top of the lane. Bohemian Bow kicks on and goes strong. Bohemian Bow switches leads, scampers away to a 2.5 length cushion. Peace Dog could not keep up. Navy Seal up into the second position, and then 110 Stadium as they hit the 16th pole. It's Bohemian Bow. He's all alone on the lead now, and Bohemian Bow romps in the 4th race. Bohemian Bow well ahead. 110 Stadium was second. Third home Navy Seal photo for 4th, and oncoming King Peanut in that photo with Peace Dog.
Too easy here for Bohemian Bow. 9-5 gate to wire win.
He was absolutely much the best. He made 8-5 look like a layover.
Prices from Bohemian Bow's victory. When we come back, slight pause with the new audience joining us now. Welcome to those just joining us on Balance Sports SoCal San Diego. Those already with us on FS2. You're watching America's Day at the Races here from South Ozone Park, New York. Greg Wolf and Andy Serling, rest of the crew with us as well. Paula Duca, Jonathan Kitchen, Maggie Wolfendale. Feature still to come here at Aqueduct in the ladies that appears like it's a pretty wide open race.
I agree. I think it is. I mean, of the horses taking money, I'm going to try to beat is She's Mo Bubbly. But the heavy favorite coming up here is High Oak in our, not co-feature, but third feature.
Very good race here. We're going to kick things off in the post parade with Royal Tryst at a big price.
Yeah, he's in a bit tough. He moves up considerably in class of a second place finish.
Business Model, trained by David Jacobson.
Taking a lot of money for a horse whose form eludes him.
Bill Mott sends out Set Sail. He has Jose Lezcano aboard.
I think he's an overlay at 4-1 in this race. I'm going to forgive his race in the mud last time out. I think he'll run much better today.
Beachwalker comes in with good form.
He had a huge race last time. Where to come from, and will we see it again?
Jeff Fafa, double-digit odds.
You know where he's going to be early. He's going to be in front.
Joey Freshwater looked very promising back as a 3-year-old for Linda Rice.
And I think Linda just gave him needed time off. He had been running for 9 straight months with 12 starts, and he's got credentials to be contender here.
And a good story with this horse. He was a graded stakes winner as a 2-year-old, looked like a potential star. Kind of lost his way, and he's been getting back to some really good races.
And I'm very happy to see him reunited with Katie Davis, who really got this horse to help this horse respond and get back into good form. And he's the one to beat. I'm going to try to beat him with Set Sail, but I'm not against him.
You can earn a $20 bonus today by playing with Now or Bet. Bet $100 each at Aqueduct and at Oaklawn. And you'll earn that $20 bonus whether you win or lose. You do have to opt in. Go to NaiRaBets.com, hit that opt-in button, and get that bonus in your account. Minute to post. Coming up, 6-5 favorite, the Silks of Leon Seidler and the former Saratoga Special win back as a 2-year-old. Let's go to Jonathan Kitchen for more.
Yeah, look, I mean, Andy kind of touched on it, right? I mean, and you as well, Wolfie. This horse did show a bunch of talent as a 2-year-old. Obviously had some injuries. Then came back and you know, and just kind of had to work his way back in to the mix, but he's always kind of been in deep waters as well, right? So I think that some of his performances, you know, you see a third beaten 5, a fifth beaten 7, a second beaten 2, 8 beaten 10. It's like, oh, well, that's not very good. But yeah, he's running against Hoist the Gold in the Cigar Mile. He's running against Cody's Wish in the Vosburg, Gunite and Cody's Wish in the Forego. He was in deep waters, and I think that these are significantly lighter waters for a horse that does have a lot of talent and probably just one of those confidence builders, hopefully, if he can get his trip. And I think he's the best horse in the race, which makes me like the outside draw for a horse that comes from out of it. I don't want him getting stuck in behind horses. He doesn't need to save ground to win this race. He needs a clean trip, and the real High Oak needs to show up. If those two things happen, I believe he'll win. If he was drawn inside, that could create some complications.
6-5 favorite from that outside post with Katie Davis back on board, and she had been credited by many for helping this horse sort of get back on track. He was going to be retired at one point because he just couldn't seem like he could run anymore.
No, I personally, I think you have to give Katie a lot of credit because this is a horse that just wasn't responding for any rider and then suddenly turned around. And I agree with Jonathan. You want him, you like him, you want him to be out there in the clear. It is interesting, when he came to life in Saratoga, he was moving up inside of horses, as I recall. So I'm not sure he's not gaming there. I mean, I agree with Jonathan, though, philosophically with that for sure.
Now even money from that outside post. As you take a look at Beachwalker stepping in, we'll see if the 6 Joey Freshwater can make an impact. This is his 4-year-old debut. He's coming up to 6 horse.
He's not impossible. I'm going to try to beat him with Set Sail, who hasn't run well in 2 sealed tracks he's been on. He chased outside against a gold rail last time, and he's got credible form. I just think it's too big a price discrepancy between the 3 and 7.
There's High Oak stepping in for Bill Mott. We're set for the 7th. Chris Griffin, the call.
All set. And they're off. High Oak with early speed towards the outside with Joey Freshwater in that early mix and Jeff Fafa. It's Jeff Fafa who's up by a half length. Set Sail is tightly at the rail here. That's the leading quartet. Just off of them is Beachwalker and the Red Silks is in 5th. The 2 at the back, late running Royal Tryst is there with Business Model. They're chasing Jeff Fafa, Luis Rivera Jr., they're well in command. They're up by 2. Joey Freshwater is comfortable enough in second. Set sail, still tightly at the rail, is a challenge third here with High Oak as they approach. 4 furlongs left to go. 23-3 was the opening quarter mile. Jeff Fafa still 2.5 lengths clear towards the back end. Business Model gets going there with Beach Walker, and still far back gets Royal Tryst, who's the trailer. Jeff Fafa is now confronted up alongside Joey Freshwater, and Joey Freshwater puts ahead in front. It's Joey Freshwater. High Oak is in pursuit, 3 wide. Set Sail is all in as well. Beach Walker, Business Model, they travel as a pair trying to make up some ground there. 3 off the leader. The leader is Joey Freshwater, 48-3 for the half-mile time. Joey Freshwater kicks for home. High Oak on the grandstand side is ready to pounce, but Joey Freshwater is running that straighter course, and Joey Freshwater is very game. High Oak still trying to push by out in the center of the racetrack. Business Model is now taken third. It's Joey Freshwater trying to give Kendrick Carmouche another one. Inside the final 16th, Joey Freshwater, High Oak, Joey Freshwater. That's your winner, Joey Freshwater over High Oak, Business Model, and Beach Walker in 1 minute, 27 seconds flat.
Former winner of the Grade 3 Bayshore back in April of last year, flashed a lot of talent, wins his 4-year-old debut here for Linda Rice.
This is a horse that had run fast enough early in his 3-year-old career to be a contender in here. So the fact that he was able to improve off the layoff is not that big a shock. I really think that Linda Rice just sort of looked at this horse and said, you know, he's been running hard for 9 straight months. His form's tailing off. Let's give him a freshening. And he's come back and he showed that quality form he had beforehand. High Oak had no excuse here. Katie did everything right. She was in good position. She got outside this horse like she was going to run by, and she simply could not get by Joey Freshwater, who Linda Rice had ready to go off the layoff. Kendrick continues to win a lot of races here. This was a great claim for Linda. $50,000 she paid for a horse that's now made about $250,000, little less, so over $200,000 though since she bought this horse. Good for her.
3 wins since that claim, not to mention several in the money finishes, graded stakes win as well, and 6-1 with another upset here in the Pick 4, 6-7-2-4 finish. Kendrick Carmouche getting the opportunity for this barn, had the win on this horse in that Bayshore as well.
Do we wonder if High Oak has a little problem getting by horses now, having that final killer instinct, or maybe this horse just ran very, very well, and it's not like he didn't have the credentials to move forward. You just had to be willing to take the possibility that he would improve off of the layoff a little bit. As a developing 4-year-old, why is that so surprising? Linda just did the right thing, giving a horse that was just raced out some time off.
Especially from this barn.
Yeah.
Not a big surprise to see this improvement coming back now as a 4-year-old. 6-1 upset. Joey Freshwater here in the 7th feature to come. And we'll look at early stakes action on the card before we came on the air on the road to this year's Run for the Roses. Derby points on the line in the Jerome. And a Brad Cox trainee stepping up. We'll be back.
Charlatan is back, and he turns it on with 1/8 of a mile to go. Express Train moves into second. Nashville dropping out of it, and then Collusion Illusion. What a spectacular return for Charlatan, who will romp in the Run Happy Malibu Stakes by 4.5 emphatic lengths. Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
They're off. Regalo has early speed, so does Sweet Saudi J is in the early mix, and joining them there's El Grande O. El Grande O now puts a neck in front of Sweet Saudi J towards the inside in those red blinkers, and out wider that's Regalo. Getting off the rail immediately was Con8, is now towards the far outside, is going to be in front of the early trailer. Drum roll, please. Tightly bunched here as they come out of the chute and hook up with the backstretch, and they are chasing El Grande O, who's a neck in front. El Grande O went 24.50 for that opening quarter mile. Tight hold here on Regalo. Wants to go, is in the two path, is chasing the leader with Con8 now 3 wide as they work up the backstretch here in the Jerome. At the rail, it's Sweet Saudi J and Dylan Davis, and the trailer is Drum Roll Please, who's only a length and a half off the lead as they approach. A half mile left to go. El Grande O is still in front. El Grande O takes him into the far turn, 49 seconds flat for the half-mile time, and starts to turn up the pressure. Con8 is in pursuit, and here comes Con8 and Manny Franco. They're on the move now, and Con8 is ready to challenge an all-in El Grande O down towards the inside. Drum roll, please, is now within range. Is a length and a half off the battling duo. Losing ground was Regalo. The trailer is Sweet Saudi J as they approach a quarter mile left to go. El Grande O is still there. El Grande O is kicked on. Continuing to challenge as Con8, drum roll please, starts to go through the gears on the grandstand side. El Grande O is trying to find that wire, but here comes drum roll please in clear pursuit. Drum roll please is now up by a half length. It's drum roll please with a 1/16 of a mile to go. It's going to be drum roll please, and Javier Castellano awarded Derby points. They win the Jerome.
Drum roll, please. Very slow pace. They only went, what, 114.92 for the 6 furlongs. And drum roll, please, no problem rolling by this field late.
The track has been extraordinarily slow today, so take these times with a grain of salt. And I know the maidens went a little faster a race or two later, but you do wonder if the track may have sped up a little bit. And that maiden also may have run a buyer in the low 80s. Listen, they're works in progress. Even watching him run, the way Javier had to sort of motivate him to get into contention, then he just sort of idled a little bit in the turn, and he responded when Javier asked. But you get the feeling that this guy may be a bit of a work in progress. Who knows how good he is? Listen, like we were talking about it on the show yesterday, Greg, there's fierceness and his Breeders' Cup performance, and then there's everybody else. And that doesn't mean, listen, if fierceness runs a race like he ran the Breeders' Cup in the Kentucky Derby, it's going to be very unlikely he loses. He's a very, very, very good horse, but he's got to keep going as a 3-year-old. He's got to stay sound like they all do, and he's got to like the distance. After that, is there somebody out there that you feel is towering over the field?
Someone could emerge. There's a lot that can happen.
Someone will emerge.
Yeah, even with the way the track is playing, I think Final Time's not going to get people too excited here, but not to say this horse can't continue to move forward and progress. Coming off that third in the Remsen, he now has 13 points, and usually 20 or more gets you into that Kentucky Derby. We'll see if he continues to move along a path to warrant being in that first Saturday.
Horses that are good enough at the time to get in the race, they get in the race. They get the points and they earn them. There's plenty of opportunities, and he may well be one of them. I won't be surprised. And I'm not going to look at the figs. I bet you the fig comes in the low 80s. Not that surprising, considering it's not like he looked like he was going to run this huge number. Listen, a barn that has an embarrassment of riches, and Brad has shown that he really does a good job with these 3-year-olds, with a lot of horses as well. I'm going to be surprised if he moves forward, but he's going to have to move forward.
Yeah, Brad Cox, trainer of Drumroll Please, and yeah, it has been an embarrassment of riches for him in this division the last few years. Very likely, I would think, we're going to take a look at it later, but probably the favorite for another Eclipse Award is Outstanding Trainer.
It feels like it. It's he and Bill Mott and Chad Brown. They are the right 3 here. Brad had a great year. I mean, he really did, and he's an exceptional trainer who's it's funny when you think about his Breeders' Cup. Idiomatic ran well. Nobody else showed up. And, a lot of people will say, oh, Brad Cox, he wins, all he does win. And I joke around with Brad, and he says, how come nobody ever says anything when I'm winning at 20%? They don't talk about the other 80% of my horses that don't run well. But Brad is obviously a terrific trainer, and his horses do perform when they're supposed to.
Second time last 3 years he's led the nation in earnings as a trainer. Meanwhile, back here to our current action, Joey Freshwater. What a 4-year-old debut. And great starting point for his season coming up.
No question about it. This is a horse that did run very well in the Bay Shore. He ran some competitive race after that. But if you look at his form, he ran 10 races for Linda Rice, 2 for her other trainer, 12 races in 9 months without any kind of break, dancing all the dances, and it just felt like his form left him. And when you're a good trainer like Linda Rice, you're able to see that. She gave him the time off, and he's come back and responded. An unbelievably great claim for him. We were talking about the horse in this race. It was a good claim. This is one that's already made $250,000 pretty much off the claim for $50,000, and it has plenty of good racing in front of him.
One of those several Kentucky claims from Linda Rice. Claimed this one for $50,000 back in November of last year, and that's been a secret to her winning so many training titles. She won 5 in a row, or tying for that Saratoga title, of course, with Chad Brown in a row on a record-setting year for her barn. So we move on to the feature. The ladies at 1 1/8 with the snow coming down.
If you look from our vantage point, you can barely tell it's snowing from here. If you look at the TV, it looks like a blizzard. It get a little bit of an illusion when you're watching on a two-dimensional TV.
Early odds here. The morning line favorite saddle up, Jesse, 6-1. There she is for Brittany Russell, who became the first female trainer to lead the year-end standings in the state of Maryland. Historic for that barn. And now a mare coming off a stakes win last time out in Maryland, coming to New York.
This is Maxfield. This is a Maxfield foal. Maxfield, the G1 Breeders' Futurity and G1 Clark Hero by Street Sense. Maxfield foal. They're just like him, walking, standing, looking perfect, and selling. This one made $500,000, the most by any freshman in 2023. Maxfield. He's the best in his field. Inquire now.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back on America's Day at the races on our FS2 coverage. And the snow lightly coming down, as Andy explained. He explained correctly, not as aggressive as it looks on screen.
So funny, right? When we look out here, you can't even barely tell it's snowing.
Getting set for the feature, the 8th coming up, 10 minutes away from the ladies. As we look at Evidencius for the Christophe Clement barn, Dylan Davis will ride. Had a troubled trip from the outset when we saw that U.S. Dirt debut here at Aqueduct early December.
Yeah, I mean, it actually caused it himself. He broke about a length slow. He came in at the start from breaking down towards the inside, she actually did it to herself in here, and she's the number 2 horse, and you're going to see. She comes in. Nobody interfered. They're just a little bit sluggish, and I thought she ran reasonably well. You know, Hot Fudge came back and won a stake about a week later for Linda Rice. She was able to control in the front end. She had a pretty good trip after that. The track was probably a little bit outside. Even the dynamics of the race favored front runners. So in that respect, she ran well. And it does feel like there should be at least an honest pace in here. The 1 has speed, the 4 has speed, the 5 has speed, the 6 will be stalking. I guessed with this one, to be honest, I think the 2 can win Evidencias. I thought Comparative the 5 could win. I think the 6 Saddle Up Jesse could win. I won't be surprised if I'm wrong about She's Mo Bubbly, but she's the one who I didn't want in here.
Hard to deny, though. I mean, she did some running in this race with a better start today. I mean, major contender here?
Well, I think she's a major contender, period. But the problem is that I hate horses that you say better start. Well, she did it to herself. So I always worry those horses are going to do it again. I think what she has going for her, too, is that you really feel like distance is her friend, right? She has that win 1.25 miles down in Brazil. Now, obviously, these are likely to be much better horses, but it feels like that from 1 mile to 1 1/8 miles is only going to help her.
Another chance on this surface for this Christophe Clement trainee as we go to Maggie.
I love how you guys comment about the weather while in the cozy studio. Flakes are getting bigger. I will admit that. The flakes are a little bit more substantial here in the paddock than what they were a half an hour ago. As we'll take a look at some horses here in the paddock for today's ladies, and do want to start with Evidencias taking a lot of early money. And I just can't get over the one thing that Christophe Clement said to me when trying the dirt in this country for the first time in her last start. He said, I'm really positive about her switching surfaces. She works beautifully on the main track. I just wish it was 9 furlongs. Well, he gets his wish today, and she looks it. She's a big, rangy horse that from the first start here in the States back on October 27th, I've been a fan of hers. So really excited to see what she's able to do against this field. As we'll check in with number 4, She's Mo Bubbly. That maybe you can dismiss her as she hasn't faced the strongest company. But then maybe if you just isolate her dirt races, they are pretty good overall, at least as of late. And she's gotten better physically towards the tail end of that 4-year-old season, and now as a newly turned 5-year-old. She's stronger, she's filled out, and I just always give these Todd Pletcher horses a second look when traveling over these long distances on the main track. Now we'll check in with the Maryland Invader. That's number 6, Saddle Up Jessie, daughter of More Than Ready. And you kind of understand with that sire on top that maybe they thought turf was a thing, but she's out of a Bernardini mare. She doesn't look turf, man. This is her surface. Well turned out. I mean, great coat, great flesh to her. She just looks a little smaller and somewhat overmatched physically against this field. I respect her. I'm not going to be shocked when she runs well here. I just wonder how good she actually is, and I think the board, at least as of now, somewhat reflective of that too, Greg, at 5-1.
All right, Maggie, thank you. We'll get back to a post parade here for our Saturday feature. In just a moment, we head back to Hot Springs, race 5 post parade coming up. In this conditioned $10,000 claiming race, 6 furlong sprint. The distance, and as the board reflects, this race is wide open. Favorite is 7-2 right now, who we'll get to. That's the 10. Here's Cost Basis at 21-1.
Yeah, Cost Basis horse that we saw around here earlier in his career. Seems like his form has left him.
Steve Asmussen's son Keith with Risk Profile.
Another horse we originally saw around here. In fact, I think that 1 and 2 are probably both. They may both originally be Klarovich horses, given the names. And another horse's form is dwindling, but he drops precipitously.
Violent Gigi at 9-2 off the claim for John Ortiz.
Yeah, we'll see how this horse can do off the claim. I thought this horse was one of the contenders.
Bella's Prayer, huge price.
Yeah, he looks too slow.
Spiteful Sam. Been on turf recently at Canterbury.
He does have back 4 in the Mesa Contender, but that was almost 2 years ago. Not for me.
Had an allowance win at Keeneland on dirt.
But there
certainly are some races. It was. Aspen Club, we'll see next at 20-1. Walter De La Cruz aboard off the claim for Tammy Hornsby.
Yeah, I wasn't thrilled with this one off the claim, but a big price if you like him.
Charter Oak. Thomas Vance with Christian Torres.
Yeah, no, we'll see how this horse does coming off a reasonable layoff. Might need a race. Taking a lot of money, huh?
Yeah.
4-1 seems a little low in this horse. Does have some back form.
Yeah. Mon Ami Fuzzy. Aaron Shorter trains.
Yeah, the form out of town. Borderline good enough. Probably not a player here.
Robertino Diodoro, and this horse has been beaten at short prices at 2 different racetracks coming in.
Should be somewhat forward in this race. We'll see if he can bring that form to Oaklawn Park after running in maybe some lesser circuits, but drops precipitously.
Creekmore has some speed coming in from another racetrack.
I agree this horse should be forward in here, but I still don't know if he's good enough.
And Bandera Azteca 5-1, taking money outside with Francisco Arrieta.
Well, moved off of synthetic to dirt, but this horse has dirt races that are fast enough. He doesn't run the surface that much, but he has run fast enough, and he's taken some money.
Yeah, a couple times winning at that distance as well. As we get back to New York, post-parade coming up for our feature race, the ladies. And it's Evidencius, the one who we showed you hitting the gate out of that compromised start in that U.S. Dirt debut, who is the 2-1 favorite right now.
Yeah, and definitely the horse that I picked in here, but the 2 I picked, right? Not the.
There is know-it-all Audrey, who's a 2-time winner at 1 1/8.
Yeah, she can handle the distance. She can be forward in here. I don't think she's a likely winner, but she's far from impossible.
Here is Evidencius with Dylan Davis.
Yeah, I'm hoping she can be the one that takes advantage of what should be an honest pace, but it's wide open.
Tough spot for a filly coming off a maiden win. That's Rhea Valentine, Javier Castellano aboard.
Well, if you like her, you can come back and bet the horses that ran behind her in a maiden race on Thursday.
She's Mo Bubbly. Todd Pletcher barn comes in off a win.
I know that figure came back fast, both on buyer and time form. I don't trust it for the horses in the race and want to see it again.
Brad Cox barn, and now the favorite with comparative.
She was involved in a quick pace, but the pace setter finished a good 3rd in that race, so it's not like it totally fell apart.
And this was the morning line favorite, 9-2. Saddle up, Jesse, for Brittany Russell, who's a winner of the Carousel out of town.
I wouldn't want to make the line in this race. It just felt like a race where you knew that at least one of the horses that figured to take money would get a little lost. And maybe she'll come down from 4-1. If you like her, this is a very fair price on a horse that's in great form.
Winner of the last 2, both at Laurel. We'll get back to it. We return to Oaklawn for their 5th favorite, mild one at 7-2. Robertino Diodoro's Wi-Fire, the 10. Matt Dinnerman with the call.
Creekmore's in, 1 back, Bandera Azteca. We're ready to go. And Laroff. Bandera Azteca far outside, broke sharply, isn't quick enough to go to the front here. Spiteful Sam has the most speed with Cost Basis. Those 2 are together on the lead. Cost Basis inside, Spiteful Sam outside. They put 2 lengths on Creekmore and Bandera Azteca. They're side by side. Another 2 lengths to Bella's Prayer, a length to Mon Ami Fuzzy, settling in midfield. 8 off the pace as they're strung out. Violent Gigi joins that runner. Charter Oak 3 deep with that party. A gap of 5 to Risk Profile. Wi-Fire well behind, just has 1 runner beaten. That's Aspen Club as they round the forward turn. A strung out field indeed here, but the top pair, they fly up there and they're going at it. Cost Basis, Spiteful Sam right together. Bandera Azteca creeping in, and here he comes ominously on the outside. Bandera Azteca gets a tap on the shoulder to run past the top pair, and he does so effortlessly. It's Bandera Azteca kicking on now. Charter Oak on the outside is coming with his surge. He's in the blue cap, a length and a half behind Bandera Azteca, who is asked to finish now outside. Charter Oak trying to reel him in. Bandera Azteca, 16th to go, fending off Charter Oak, and he will. Bandera Azteca, your winner, and that gives Francisco Arrieta 2 wins today. Second home, Charter Oak. Risk Profile, 3rd. Photo for 4th, Cost Basis, and Mon Ami Fuzzy.
Charter Oak off the bench. This horse had been off since May 23rd. Gets the victory here, 4th of his career.
He's a cool horse. He handles any surface, and there aren't too many that can do it. Maybe at a slightly lower level, but he shows up and runs whatever surface he's on. Neat horse.
Goes off at 6-1 for the win. Set for the ladies handicap, or ladies, excuse me, coming up as we check in with Jonathan Kinchin.
Yeah, guys, look, I mean, obviously I think this race is pretty wide open considering the way that I played it from a multi-race standpoint. I used quite a few in here. Look, I mean, ultimately I'll land on the 5 here. I don't feel warm and fuzzy about it. I do feel like the most likely winner, but I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. The public's kind of nailed that down as well. But it is a horse that's got some tactical speed with a rider in Manny Franco and a trainer in Brad Cox that does not take a weapon like that away from a horse. Drawn towards the outside in a small field, can kind of take control, be in positions where they can make good decisions. It just feels like the most likely winner. And to be fair, like I would probably change the pick because of the price. But I do think this is the most likely winner. This is a wide open race. I feel kind of silly taking the favorite. But nonetheless, here we are. Let's see what happens.
So, 2-1 favorite has become that comparative for Brad Cox coming off that win. It's just a tough race to separate. No one really stands out in this group.
No, and you know, I agree with Jonathan's assessment that it's very hard to be overly enthusiastic here. And it's not a negative. It's more that this race is wide open. And there's nobody in here that has that race where you go, well, if this horse runs that number, she's going to dominate this field. They all have run races, and they all feel like, you know, I don't know if work in progress is the right way to put it, though some do, comparative a little bit, and she's Mo Bubbly. With Saddle Up Jessie, you've got the extra factor. Is she going to ship in and run quite as well as she's been running down in Maryland? Will she bring that form up? Now, I think she's a very fair price if you like her. I think Evidencia's at 5-2 is probably about what I figured she'd be in this race. I don't have a great thought. The public agrees with me. Of the 4 major contenders, the biggest one is She's Mo Bubbly. So I didn't get anything clever there from an odds perspective. To me, I don't see any great value on the board. If you put a gun to my head, I'd bet on the 2 Evidencias. But like Jonathan said, it's very hard to be overly confident about any selection here.
You don't look at this board and say the most attractive price is Saddle Up Jessie at 7-2?
No, I think she's a fair price. Okay. I mean, I think that's. I don't want to disagree with that. I think if you like her, that's a very fair price. I don't love her in here, but I think if you like her, that's a very, very fair price. How's that?
Comparative. Going to try and wire this field with Manny Franco?
Well, I mean, you got to think Lizcano's going to go from the rail, and Kendrick's got to go with She's Mo Bubbly. So yeah. I don't think he's going to clear them, and it's hard to clear at a 1 1/8 around here. They hit that turn so fast.
Feature race on this Saturday card. Let's go upstairs to Chris Griffin.
All set. And they're off. Know It All Audrey asks for speed, but She's Mo Bubbly is quickest. Goes right out to the front. We'll take him into that first turn. Comparative is going to stalk off of this pace setter. It's going to be She's Mo Bubbly, Kendrick Carmouche. They're on the front end, and they're up by 3/4 of a length. Comparative is right to the outside for Manny Franco in second. At the rail, it's Know It All Audrey. Is right there with Saddle Up Jessie. Has some forward momentum. Is going to be 3 wide as they work to that first turn. And Saddle Up Jessie now challenges and takes third away from Know It All Audrey. Rhea Valentine out in the center of the racetrack is second to last, and the early trailer is Evidencia. They move to the backstretch, and She's Mo Bubbly has got the lead. Is well handled here as She's Mo Bubbly still up by 3/4 of a length. Comparative is comfortable right there in second. Here comes Saddle Up Jessie moving forward from third. At the rail still is Know It All Audrey in fourth. They haven't changed the running order. Rhea Valentine second to last, and the trailer remains Evidencia's, but Evidencia starts to move from the back, 49-4 for that half-mile time. They're chasing She's Mo Bubbly. She's Mo Bubbly is still up by that half length now, and here comes Comparative with the move as they approach a half-mile left to go. Saddle Up Jessie, Sheldon Russell, they're moving forward, and they've got a 3-wide move, and here comes Saddle Up Jessie, makes the move into the far turn, dropping back quickly there as She's Mo Bubbly has been passed. Comparative has also been passed as Saddle Up Jessie is the new leader. Tipping to the outside, it's Know It All Audrey. From the back, Evidencia is trying to rally on. The trailer is Rhea Valentine. They went 1:15 and 3 for 3/4 of a mile, and Saddle Up Jessie is in hand, and here's Saddle Up Jessie at the top of the stretch. Saddle Up Jessie's taking the lead. Comparative is all in, tries to come back towards the inside for Manny Franco. Saddle Up Jessie now gets the cue. Comparative is not done, is coming right back at this rival inside the final furlong. Saddle Up Jessie, Comparative keeps fighting back to the inside, and here comes Comparative. Comparative is back in front. Saddle Up Jessie's got to find more. Comparative is game and wins the ladies. It's Comparative who gets it for Manny Franco there over Saddle Up Jessie. Then came Evidencia's and Know It All Audrey in 1:55.4.
This race looked like it was signed, sealed, and delivered for Saddle Up Jessie, but Comparative passed to the stretch, finds more, and comes back to win.
As soon as Greg Wolf told me at the 8th hole, I tried to set you up to take this horse. Comparative found more. And I'm going to tell you something. It's a really, really fun race and an excellent stretch duel between these two fillies, or I should say race mares. The 5's a filly, the 6 is a mare. Manny Franco is a very, very, very strong rider, and you wonder if ultimately, at the end of the day, his strength made a massive difference in this stretch duel.
No panic. So many times you see Manny Franco has no problems letting horses just roll on by him, waits to make his move, and yet he can finish with the best of them.
He's a strong rider, and he had that unbelievably great year here last year. I shouldn't say unbelievably; it's not surprising at all. And he's continuing to start out very well, as she was best. The end of the day, Evidencia, she's just sort of a one-paced plotting type. These two put her to show. The two best horses ran 1-2, and if you bet the 6 and 7-2, you made a good bet. Just came up, unfortunately, a little bit short.
4 wins in the last 5 starts now for this 4-year-old filly by Street Sense. Comparative for the Brad Cox barn, Godolphin, and Manny Franco. On board for the victory here with the 2-1 post-time favorite. The public got it right. So Comparative with the victory here in the ladies. 5-6, 2-1 finish. Let's go back to Oaklawn. Charter Oak off since May. Winning for Tom Vance with one of the leading riders at Oaklawn, Christian Torres.
Second. Charter Oak was second.
Excuse me, sorry.
All right, Greg.
Bandera Azteca. Thank you. Francisco Arrieta, Kevin Martin.
It's highly unusual to see a horse, even, and I'm not, listen, this is not a stakes horse, but a horse that's able to keep his form on all 3 surfaces. I mean, you look at him, 75 Beyer on dirt is his best, 78 on synthetic, and 74 on turf. This guy, he shows up, and I really respect horses like this, and a nice performance by him. Francisco Arrieta continuing to ride well at Oaklawn, as he has for the last few years at least.
Bandera Azteca.
Rare mistake.
First time on dirt happens. Many more to come. First time on dirt for this horse in a while. Been on synthetic for quite a while. And returns $14.60. Early pick 5 comes back just over $1,000. We have the late pick 5 to come. Prices from the ladies when we return. Comparative, Brad Cox, Manny Franco, Godolphin. Passed in the stretch, re-rally to win as the favorite. We'll be back.
Precocity.
Strategic speed. Some speed at 2, but can carry it on through their later careers.
Improbable, full of run. Improbable, now a Grade 1 winner.
It is a complete runaway, an authoritative run.
It's improbable to win the Whitney.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
Back on America's Day of the Races on our FS2 coverage. Brought to you in part where you can play it all at Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Go to nairabets.com, get signed up and started. Manny Franco, Brad Cox, and Godolphin take the ladies. Our Winter Circle lead-in brought to you by the Fasig-Tipton, Kentucky Winter Mixed Sale. Taking place on February 5th and 6th in Lexington, Kentucky. Where will you be? Comparative. Daughter of Street Sense on quite a roll right now. Maggie, she's won 4 of her last 5.
Here with winning rider Manny Franco. And Manny, what I noticed from Comparative in her last start, I wrote determined. And wow, was she ever determined to win this ladies today?
Yeah, she was fighting all the way through the wire. I know that I got Sheldon outside me, and I say, man, I think he got me. Because he come cruising with his filly like in hands, say, but at the same time, he kind of move for me a little too soon. I say my filly is gonna keep fighting for me, and that's what she did, and I think that was the key. She, she maintained the pace, and she determined. She don't wanna get beat.
It also helps that you are incredibly strong, and that strength that you've had on display throughout this year has led to a Naira riding title. Manny, just quickly reflect on that and the big accomplishment it is.
I mean, I'm just happy, like I always say, I want to say thanks to all the people that helped me the whole year around, all the trainers, owners, everybody, my agent, John, he's been doing a great job, and just happy to get this opportunity and making it happen.
And your biggest fan here, Valentina, who is literally your twin. Manny, congratulations on what has been a big year and this win in the ladies.
Thank you, Maggie. Appreciate it.
All right, Manny Franco, it seems fitting that he is in the winner's circle here at Aqueduct, Greg.
Yep, familiar visitor. It's such a good rider who, I guess on the national stage, doesn't get talked about quite as much because we say that the big name guys so much, but he is one of the elite.
Yeah, and winning a lot more races, more high-profile race, particularly for Chad Brown, is really going to help his profile. And we've seen here, he stays in New York, so we see him year-round. We've seen him a long time. He's an impossible guy not to like if you know him at all. And I just love seeing Manny do well. I'm a big fan.
Gets the win with Comparative here. Philly that really is on quite a roll here and gotten very good, certainly late last year and now into this year for Brad Cox. Cross country pick 5 follow along. Started with Joey Freshwater at 6-1. Now Comparative is the favorite with 3 legs to go, all coming up at Oaklawn.
Yeah, I mean, I think Joey Freshwater will help you along, but it's, man, making it through 3 at Oaklawn, that's not an easy task.
Gets very difficult from here, no question.
Is it ever easy there?
Nightcap coming up, 13 minutes away here at Aqueduct. 6 furlong sprint to close it out, $12,000 claiming race. And Mr. Phil, sizable drop down in class, could be very tough in this spot.
But he's not a horse to win without the lead, and he's not getting a lead from his stablemate Airport unless that one gets left.
We'll have the Nightcap from New York when we return, and 3 still to come. Last 3 legs of the cross-country pick 5, all from Oaklawn when we come back on our FS2 coverage.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 7 millionaires. With over 10% stakes performers, his recent top runners include Tarabi, placed in the Grade 1 Spinaway and Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, Grade 2 winner Plum Ali, plus these standout performers. A proven value sire, First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
War Dancer, New York's leading turf sire again in 2023 with standouts like Barrage at Saratoga.
Here's Barrage with a final surge. Barrage got
Warsaichi dominant on the dirt at Finger Lakes.
Warsaichi has scampered well clear. Warsaichi all the way with the top spot.
And Danzig Queen on the tap of the surface at Woodbine.
And Danzig Queen will come away and win by a length.
Consistently producing winners on dirt, turf, and synthetic. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York.
Thanks for being with us on this Saturday afternoon here on America's Day at the Races. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Nightcap from Aqueduct coming up. $12,000 claiming race, 6 furlong sprint to close it out as we get a look at Striking Speed, one of many contenders in this finale here in New York for Wayne Potts, coming off a victory for $10,000 claiming last start.
Yeah, I'm very surprised this horse is favored. That was an exceptionally weak field that he was in last time. Now, in all fairness, he didn't break that sharply, but I mean, take a look at the horse that he beat in here, High Heat, the number 3. I was an underlay at 6-1 right now. I like Airport in here, the 4. He was bet last time like he had no chance coming off the layoff. He's supposed to be the speed of the speed, and I prefer him today.
He's got back class. So does the 6, Mr. Phil. Let's get Jonathan's take here on this finale.
Yeah. I mean, look, I landed on the 7, Striking Speed. Another race that I think can go a lot of different directions. But based on the performance we saw yesterday, of course I'm going to forget the name now because I need to think of it. But Andy's going to help me out, no doubt. But because of the performance we saw from a Wayne Potts runner yesterday that ran off the screen, it just, to me, it feels like maybe Wayne's barn's just kind of going in the right direction. And if you look at the last race, you know, sometimes what I'll do is I'll evaluate when someone gets a horse. I don't always expect that horse to run big first time with them. Sometimes it takes some time for them to try to figure things out, maybe 2 or 3 starts. Well, that's maybe what happened with Striking Speed. It seems like maybe, based on that last performance, after breaking slow and still showing speed and running away from the competition, maybe, just maybe, Wayne Potts has figured out Striking Speed.
I can't remember the name either.
So 2-1 favorite. And, yeah, you mentioned High Heat was in that race. High Heat, who ran second that day, it was his first race back since May in that effort. Could he not improve second off the bench?
I guess. I mean, listen.
Or is too much speed in here?
Airport, yeah, well, he's not nearly the speed in this race. Different situation. I don't particularly like him, but he's a price if you like him. I don't want to talk people off big prices, but Airport's unreliable. I mean, first of all, he's a horse that's been having trouble winning for a while, and maybe he's just not competitive anymore. So I like him, but I'm not going to be shocked. And if someone said, I don't want him, I don't know if he can run anymore, fine. Mr. Phil, who's the other horse for Rui Rodriguez, well, he's not a horse that's effective without the lead, and I don't see him getting it from the number 4.
He was just a few starts ago. Mr. Phil was in allowance optional 80 races.
Yeah.
I mean, that is worlds tougher than this group.
He's a bit of a dumb job, and I just don't trust him without getting the lead.
Back to Oaklawn. Race 6. 6 furlong sprint, $30,000 claiming race. And this race will kick off the late pick 5 sequence here in Hot Springs, where Walker's Win, the 6, is taking all the money here at 9-5 on the board.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by that, to be honest with you. I think competitive race. Now, he ran a big fig in the mud last time against better horses, but 9-5, 2-1.
It's 1/2 his starts. He's 6 for 12 lifetime. The 2 inherits the rail with a scratch of the 1.
I thought he was the speed of the speed, and at that price, I would bet him, but I'm also wondering he's a little dead in the board, but he'd be my selection at that price.
For Robertino Diodoro as well at a big price here. Atomic Tone.
He's second off a layoff, probably an easier spot here. Not impossible on some back form, but that form at Thistledown.
Spite and Malice comes in from Churchill Downs last out.
Well, we have both of those, but we probably a horse that's not good enough to win.
19-1. Yeah. Christian Torres rides for Steve Hobby. WW Crazy. We'll see next. John Ortiz claims off of Scott Becker.
Cuts back off the claim for a trainer that's 1 for 8, turning back from a route to a sprint off the claim.
Walker's Win easily disposed of this horse when they met late last year.
Walker's Win, the 6, is the horse to beat. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I get why he's favored. I just don't know if I take 2 to 1 on him. He's somewhere back there.
We'll see. There he is.
He's hiding.
The gray.
Yeah, I mean,
one half his starts again.
He's very logical. I mean, I get it. I just don't want 2 to 1 on a horse in there, but he's logical.
Meanwhile, Lightning struck 32 to 1. Ramsey Zimmerman on a big long shot here.
Seems a little slow.
Decent appearance. But yeah, this is a tough spot for him. Air Combat taking money here at 4 to 1 at Steve Asmussen. He goes to Ramon Vasquez.
He's a horse that's got back form, and he's making his first start on dirt for Steve Asmussen. But he's also got back form for Brad Cox. Tough guy to claim from.
Yeah, some big efforts, though, on the dirt.
Yep.
Money run 13 to 1 went by.
He should be forwardly placed in here. I don't know that makes him contender, though.
I'm Wide Awake should show some pace early.
Feels like a horse that we used to see here, maybe for David Jacobson. I'm not sure who used to have him. But his race 2 back's good enough to give him a chance at Indiana.
And Sabolo coming off a 7-length win on a sloppy track at Horseshoe Indy.
Yeah, but he's got no other race that makes him a contender in this race. So, I mean, I don't want to buy him. He's like, we talk about a 1-number horse. I think the value on the board is the number 2, Shady Empire, and the favorite is the horse to beat, the 6.
Yeah, complete and utter outlier, that last performance from this horse right here. 9 to 2 right now. Let's check in with Paulie for more.
I'd have to agree with you both on the assessment of the race, to be honest. I think the 2 is the speed of the speed. And, you know, the way the racetrack has played so far, you want to be somewhat forwardly placed. We've seen a couple of horses launch from off the pace. But I think the 2 can control in here. The horse ride outside of him, I think the 3 has a little bit of pace. But, you know, Ramsey Zimmerman just pushes and pushes to the front end. And when you look at the 2's PPs, you know, this is a horse that Shady Empire, it's Harry Hernandez, who won the last race, gate to wire, yesterday. So this horse got a couple of races to go back to and never been on a wet surface. But a Calbred won the last race by Dancing Candy, this one by Empire Way. Get to the favorite, the 6, Walker's Win. You know, at 9 to 5, I get where you guys are going. It's a tough proposition, but this horse is a win machine. 6 for 12 lifetime. I don't know if the traffic cost him, definitely cost him 3rd, but, you know, Scott Becker had a horse in the last race yesterday, the 12, that come flying late that had kind of similar. He's brought some of these horses in from St. Louis, and most of them have not run that well. This one ran well when it comes to numbers-wise, so I think that this horse is the horse to beat by far at 9 to 5. I just don't know if you want to take the 9 to 5. The 9 is interesting to me, Air Combat. You just can't ignore those 2 races over a muddy and sloppy racetrack. I get that they were under the care of Brad Cox, but you're going to Steve Asmussen back to the claim price that he claimed this Son of Blame for. And when you look at this horse does have some speed, but can he get to the front end? And then the 12 on the outside, Sabolo, kind of with Andy. I do not know what to do. Cipriano Contreras has been on fire. This is a horse that won by open lengths first time on the slop. And I was always taught, sometimes on this heats, Greg, they don't bounce as much on a sloppy racetrack, but also every racetrack is not the same kind of muddy or sloppy. So the 12 Sabolo, I'm against a little bit.
That's the hottest barn, no question. Start of the meet. Cipriano Contreras over 40%. So we get back to New York for the post parade, and the remaining half of the entry, that 1A.
Yeah, going to need a lot of hitting and to find some back form to get it done. Not likely on the recent races.
Nobody Rides for Free just went by, gets the rail.
Yeah, I guess not impossible, but has to step forward quite a bit. Gets
High heat, second off a lengthy layoff.
Second to the favorite in his last start, but I didn't like that race.
Big back class for this one, Airport.
I'm hoping he can cruise the front and wire the field, but there have to be some questions off his last race.
Joker Boy's been beat handily at this condition.
Nothing funny about his recent form.
Mr. Phil, major back class as well. Blinkers on.
But a horse that's really best when he can be dominant on the front end.
Still favored. Moving on by with a big warm-up from Dylan Davis, striking speed.
Maybe Jonathan's onto something. This barn is ready to get hot again.
And 19 to 1 outside, Can't Beat Me for Paul Barrow.
Yeah, you name a horse Can't Beat Me. You risk the possibility of it not being true, but it's not the horse's fault.
Been beat 21 times in his 24 starts. Trainer that's based primarily at Finger Lakes. And that's where that one comes in from as they load up back at Oaklawn in these muddy conditions. 9 to 5 favorite. Walker's Win is a deserving favorite, but Paulie mentioned That 9, Air Combat, you talked about him as well. This horse, some big back class, some very big numbers. You go back to 2022, but in terms of when he's run, not that long ago.
Yeah, big numbers for Brad Cox, though, but he is in a pretty good barn right now.
Winningest barn in the history of the sport, Steve Asmussen. Air Combat, that's the 9 with Ramon Vasquez. We're set for this 6th from Oaklawn. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
Just a few more runners to load. I'm Wide Awake. Two back, Walker's Win. Your current 8-5 favorite, now 2-1. Into the outside, Cibolo. We're ready to go. And Laroff. Shady Empire from the inside, aggressively ridden to get out to the front. Atomic Tone's got early lick too. These two together on the front end. I'm Wide Awake, 3 deep on the course. It's Shady Empire with a half-length lead. Atomic Tone backs off. I'm Wide Awake taking second. Atomic Tone back to third. Between horses, a length to Money Run in a good position, tracking right off the speed, 2 behind. A length and a half clear of Cibolo. Lightning Struck to the inside, and Air Combat approaching the turn. A gap of 4 lengths back to Spited Malice. Walker's Win. The favorite is second to last with him, and WW Crazy can see them all as they round the far turn. Shady Empire still on the lead here. The margin is a narrow one. Atomic Tone right there. I'm Wide Awake, 3 wide. These 3 across the track as they swing off the corner together. And fourth is Money Run. Needs to do more. Walker's Win being eased up as they come down the lane here. Shady Empire, Atomic Tone, they've been 1-2 the whole way around, and that's how they hit the furlong pole. Shady Empire starting to inch away. Atomic Tone is second. Third home, I'm Wide Awake, and then Lightning Struck. But as they come to the line, it's Shady Empire pulling away late to win it by 2.5 lengths. Lightning Struck was second. Photo for third. I'm Wide Awake in Spited Malice.
And they're off. Airport right out to the front, has early speed. It's Airport, and High Heat is going to join this rival as well. Also moving forward there is Mr. Phil. Mr. Phil now puts a nose in front, battling on those Airport towards the inside. Striking Speed is just off of them in third. Center of the racetrack is going to be Can't Beat Me in the blue silks, and at the rail that's High Heat, who's shoved along. That's the leading 5. Behind them comes First Deputy, who's towards the tail end of the field. Nobody Rides for Free, and far, far back the trailer. That's going to be Joker Boy. Mr. Phil's got the lead. It's Mr. Phil. Striking Speed is within 3/4 of a length of that leader. Airport is all in here at the rail. Just gets passed to the outside here by High Heat. Can't Beat Me in the center of the racetrack. Following that move comes First Deputy and Katie Davis. They're going to range up outside. Losing some ground there was Nobody Rides for Free, is trying to rally on. And far, far back it's Joker Boy, who's the trailer. Striking Speed brings him to the top of the stretch, and it kicks away. It's Striking Speed, who's now up by a quick 2. Can't Beat Me down the center of the racetrack. First Deputy continues to make up some ground on the grandstand side, but running out of time. Striking Speed is looking for the line, but here's Can't Beat Me. Can't Beat Me is ready to challenge, and immediately First Deputy is ready to pounce as well. It's Can't Beat Me who's in front. First Deputy's going to try late here. It's Can't Beat Me. Almost there. Can't Beat Me. Romero Mirage. They win the finale. First Deputy up for second. Striking Speed. Then came a photo. That was High Heat with an oncoming Nobody Rides for Free in 1 minute 13.
Can't Beat Me, now the 4th win of his career, and give the assist to Andy Serling.
He tried to tell you. He tried to tell you. It hasn't been the case for many, many races. But he gets his 3rd win at Aqueduct, actually. His 3 wins while winning at Aqueduct. Carryover of $29,000 in the pick 6. I couldn't add this horse if they told me already now, and I could bet now. How about the 1A getting second at a price?
27-1 over 8-1.
I was right at Oaklawn. I get a little credit for that. 6-1.
I think as wrong as you were at Aqueduct in races, the good you did. I don't know.
I'm not exactly the only one who was wrong. He was 27-1. All I said was they gave him a name that's a little funny for a horse that never
feel like
wins.
anytime things are said like that,
but it's true. I mean,
it is true. You were saying a very factual statement. 8-1A, 7-3. Paul Barrow owns this horse as well. And look, makes the right move. As you said, now 3 of the 4 wins from this 5-year-old have come at this racetrack, and apparently likes the snow too.
Massive snowstorm.
27-1 to close out the card in New York. We got a pick 6 carryover into Sunday.
Cyberknife was a very talented horse from day one. Fast horse, able to carry it around 2 turns. Looks a tremendous amount like Gunrunner, same ability and talent. Holds the track record in the Haskell. He won it in impressive fashion, beating a very good group of horses. Excited about him passing on his durability, his soundness, and his talent. He could definitely be a breed-shaping stallion.
Welcome to the Adelphi Racing Club experience. Take ownership of stakes-winning thoroughbreds like Funny How, racing at the highest level circuits.
Funny How is in front. It's Funny How who's up by 3 lengths, approaching the 16th pole. It's all Funny How. Funny How, Katie Davis more than amused. Funny How wins the Broadway.
Contact us online to get a taste of the Adelphi difference, and let's win races together.
Back on America's Day of the Races on our FS2 coverage. Regional network out in Southern California. What an end to the card here in South Ozone Park, New York. Can't Beat Me wins for just the 4th time in 25 career starts. Very few looking at the payoffs here had this one anywhere on tickets.
Well, if you had the pick 6, you'd be upset because you would have won $29,000 less than the pick 5 paid, which for 50 cents paid $34,856. And congrats if you had this one. I don't know how you make him, but he got it done in there. Striking speed, looked like he was in a good spot. Airport can't run at all anymore. He gave up the lead readily to Mr. Phil, who doesn't look like he can run anymore either. And just a lot of horses were no-shows here. Tough one to make, but congrats if you had him. A big price to close it out. And we have that carryover, $29,483. Tomorrow's card here.
Romero Mirage aboard for Paul Barrow, and a $57 winner to end this Saturday card here in New York. So yeah, carryover into Sunday, just shy of $30,000. So some extra handicapping to do tonight.
Well, you're not even here tomorrow.
I will be watching, and I will be likely playing.
I will be here.
And I'll miss you.
The Mig will be here tomorrow.
Oh, say hi for me.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you.
Shady Empire. That's Robertino Diodoro, Harry Hernandez. They're unable to catch him. This horse second off a lengthy layoff the win.
Yeah, and $13 getting it done. A long shot scooting up the rail to get second. And this was a race with some no-shows. The fairly consistent favorite in this race was a complete no-show in there. Walker's win.
Get underneath,
and
too.
It just feels like the 9, you know, ex-Brad Cox. I don't care who you are, but this horse getting it done. And horse is running well inside, right? Because not only was this horse towards the inside, but the second place finisher came up the fence.
49-1, 16-1, 50-1 underneath.
So it's not paying to win. I should have gone all.
Occasionally it works out.
How did I miss it?
7th at Oaklawn, 6 furlong sprint. And Arkansas bred runners, allowance optional claiming field. This board looks wide open. Right now it's the 8, one way or another favored.
Is your favorite Archie bred going to be back this year? What's his name? Gap. Garhol. I saw him in the PPs the other day. Thought of you.
Oh, you did?
I saw him beating a horse that was running in one of the races I was looking at. Yeah. I didn't see him. I saw his name.
More on the 7th when we come back. We will talk who is deserving of Horse of the Year. I don't think he's in the conversation. We know a couple that are, though, including Cody's Wish and the classic winner, White Abario. We'll be back.
Charlatan is back, and he turns it on with an eighth of a mile to go. Express Train moves into second. Nashville dropping out of it, and then Collusion Illusion. What a spectacular return for Charlatan, who will romp in the run-happy Malibu Stakes by 4.5 emphatic lengths. Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
Flightline is in full flight. Flightline turns it on at the top of the stretch, and he's in cruise control.
And Flightline takes off! Take a good look at this, because you're not going to see this too often, maybe never again. Flightline, 20 lengths clear. World-class racehorse, world-class performance at a world championship event.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
All right, everybody, welcome to Claiborne Farm. Claiborne Farm has been around since 1910. The tour is a backstage look at how we operate as a large-scale breeding farm. These are parts of the farm that have always been off limits to the public. You know, you would only see these barns and these horses up close if you worked out here. So it's been really exciting to open that to the public, to show that end of the industry and just spread that knowledge. You know, you take a group out, they get to scratch on a mare and foal, they think it's super cool, and hopefully create a lifelong fan. So our stallions stand from anywhere from $5,000 to $100,000. That is a stand and nurse guarantee. So that fee is not paid until the next year after the mare has had her baby, the foal stands, and everything is good. We have conceived 22 Kentucky Derby winners, 19 Preakness winners, 22 Belmont winners, and 29 Breeders' Cup winners. In addition to that, 6 of the 13 Triple Crown winners have been conceived in our breeding shed. So I'm always excited to, you know, spread the knowledge that I've had, share this passion for the breeding industry that I've had basically my entire life, and just spread the wealth. Basically, all of our tours are sold out. That's just absolutely fantastic. Sometimes we'll try to sneak in 1 or 2 extra people onto the trolley. It's a yearling colt field. Actually, this field is home of 2013 Kentucky Derby winner Orb, as well as Breeders' Cup Classic winner Flame. The cemetery is extremely popular. It's on both types of tours that we offer, so the trolley tour and the walking tour. People travel from all over the world to see Secretariat's grave. So it's really exciting to see people's reaction to seeing that. Secretariat, the 1973 Triple Crown winner. I just want to thank everybody for coming on this tour. This is a tour that we've been really excited about. We're really excited to open up this side of the operation to the public. I think Claiborne is just absolutely iconic when it comes to horse racing. I don't think you can think of horse racing without thinking of Secretariat and Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Eclipse Awards finalists were announced just recently. I believe January 25th is when we're going to find out who takes home all the hardware.
How are we going to sleep?
There's some categories that are very interesting and deserve a lot of discussion, like Horse of the Year. And they're not going to announce who the finalists are until the evening of the event. But we know White Barrio, Cody's Wish, they're going to be in that conversation. Let's start with White Barrio in the year that he had. Obviously late, moving to the Dutro Barn from Saffie Joseph, had those two huge victories in the Whitney and in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And he initially was not even pointing to the Whitney, but wanted to stay away from Cody's Wish.
Who knows with Rick? His horse is either run once every 2 or 3 months or once every 2 or 3 days. I mean, you can't figure it out.
Yeah, want to stay away from Elite Power and Gun Eye, I should say.
I would vote for him, and I was glad to see that the turf writers are now excluding people like myself that work for racetracks. I believe that even if we're not biased, we have an inherent bias, so I was glad to see that. I would vote for him because he had that big win in the Whitney and the Breeders' Cup Classic, which I believe are the two preeminent races in the division, and he beat Cody's Wish in the Whitney. It's an imperfect year. I can understand why some wouldn't support him, but I would vote for him as the best possible answer, though I believe Cody's Wish will win this race. A bit of a sentimental choice. I wouldn't vote for him, but I can understand.
3 grade ones versus, well, excuse me, 4 grade ones versus 2 grade ones, but Whitney and Classic, 2 very big ones for White Barrio.
Yeah, with this one, he won the Breeders' Cup Mile.
Churchill Downs.
Yeah, the Met
Mile.
What did I miss? What was his 4th?
Oh, no, sorry, Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, 3 to 2.
3. Listen, it's a good story. Obviously with Tony Dorman passing away and the whole story and the career he had, I understand it. I wouldn't vote for him, but I don't think he's a bad choice in this year. And I think it'll be a lot of people giving it to him for other reasons. Not what I would do, but I'm not going to criticize people for taking it.
2 horses that had great years, obviously, for White Barrio. It came very late. But those are 2 very big wins to have on the resume, 2 incredibly prestigious races in the Whitney and obviously the Classic. We're going to go to Paul Duca, get his take on what we think is going to transpire here for Horse of the Year. Paulie, what do you think?
It's one of those races, as I'm calling it a race it's tough. I mean, you could take both sides. White Barrios, what have you done for me lately?
Well, I think we should mention.
And Rick Dutro, off that long, suspension, just coming back with kind of a vengeance. And White Barrio was overlooked a little bit in the Whitney, and then he got bet in the Classic. So do you want to say the Classic was a weak Classic last year? Then we can go there, and then you would give it to Cody's Wish and the story. Listen, the horse won 4 grade ones, and obviously, he lost in the Whitney, and maybe he didn't want to go that distance. The break was not that good that day as well. So, I'd probably lean where Andy's going and go at White Barrio just because at the end of the year, he peaked as the best horse, JK. But, I mean, it's a flip a coin for me.
Yeah, look, I mean, Andy said it right? I mean, it's not the most warm and fuzzy Horse of the Year conversation we've ever had. You don't look at White Barrio or Cody's Wish and feel the same way you feel about a Flightline, a Knicks Go, a Bricks and Mortar, a Justify, an American Pharaoh, a Gun Runner, California Chrome. It doesn't give you the same feeling. However, this is what we've got for the year, and this is the 2 horses that do deserve to be in the conversation. I will say this. I do believe that there is grade 1 races in this country, and then what I like to call kind of grade 1 plus races, right? Those grade 1s that just mean just a little bit more. The Kentucky Derby, the Triple Crown races, the Met Mile, the Whitney, the Breeders' Cup races. Those seem to matter. If you look at the resumes between the 2, between White Barrio and Cody's Wish, to me, they're Met Mile and their Whitneys kind of cancel each other out, and you need to evaluate the rest of it, right? White Abario won the Classic, probably the biggest race in North America. It's supposed to be the biggest race in North America. But then you look at Cody's Wish, who's got a couple of other grade ones as well. It's tough. It's really of a tough situation. I default to Cody's Wish because he just had more wins. It feels kind of itchy giving a horse of the year that only had 2 grade ones.
2 grade ones, but yeah, as Jonathan, you just made the case for the 2 premier grade ones, outside of the Met Mile, probably in the country.
Yeah, and I think the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile is a preposterous race that actually hurts racing in this country. They should get rid of it. The Sprint would be better, and the Classic would be better. Making Breeders' Cup races just to get more handle seems a little much for me. 3 grade ones for Cody's Wish. Let's be clear on that. That's my opinion. A lot of people disagree. I believe that we're leaving out a 3rd horse. I think Up to the Mark has a lot of support. I would vote him 3rd here. I wouldn't make him Horse of the Year. I don't think he should be Horse of the Year, but he's got 3 grade 1 wins as well, and he was overwhelmingly the best turf horse in this country. And I don't think he lost anything in defeat to Auguste Rodin, who got a better trip than he did at 1.5 miles horse run in Europe, so I could give him some credit. The horse I think is ridiculous that people are voting for is Idiomatic. I think she's a terrific horse who had a good year in a very flawed division, never faced the boys, and she has no claim whatsoever on Horse of the Year. And I think people who voted for her anywhere, I don't understand that at all.
Tough to make a case for a turf horse in this category if he didn't seal the deal with the Breeders' Cup Turf, which didn't happen. Paul wants back in on this. Look, it's a great debate, and we're going to see it go down to the wire on the night of the event.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Andy 100%. This horse should be in the discussion for the Horse of the Year, and I just think that we live in a world in North America where the turf horse isn't as decorated as the dirt horse. But let's not forget this horse was 7 for 9 for the year, beat Masters of Seas on the square, past him at Keeneland. Then he runs in the Breeders' Cup, and I'm with Andy. He got the worst of the trips. He runs 2nd. What did Masters of Seas do? From the clouds, won the Breeders' Cup Mile. I just don't understand why we take turf horses now these days and just say, okay, we're just going to give him older turf horse of the year. Now, I'm not saying he should be Horse of the Year, but he should be in this discussion, no doubt.
I agree with Paulie. And the other thing is, if we're going to talk about turf racing and have all these grade ones for turf horses, then you have to treat it as though it's important. And I don't think, Bricks and Mortar got it because they didn't feel like there was another horse. Same way Kodashan got it a number of years ago. Now, he had a terrific year. I thought Mitole was as deserving as Bricks was that year. Having said that, I thought Mitole had a great year, 1 dead rail away from being undefeated, 2 horses that had good years. I just think that he's a horse that's worthy discussion Up to the Mark. But you make a good point. He didn't win the Breeders' Cup race, but man, did he run well.
Yeah, had a terrific year. We will find out on the day again of the event who are the 3 finalists for that award and who's going to take it home as well. January 25th, Eclipse Awards, and a few other categories up in the air as well, which we'll highlight a few as we get closer to the event. Right now it's back to live action at Oaklawn. 6 furlongs in this Arkansas bred allowance optional claiming field. 9-5 now on the horse who's been favored throughout for Andy Morse. 5-year-old mare, one way or another, who just missed on a muddy sealed track in this race.
It's a song, right? Who's singing there?
I'll Google it.
Yeah, it's a song from our time. 80s or something, right? I don't have a lot to say about one way or another. Feels like ran well. What I don't like about this horse is lost last time at 9-5, has PPs that are littered with short prices, and is 1 for 13 with 4 seconds. And somebody came along and beat him last time. I have problems, or I have problems with horses like this that are short prices. She is speed, though, in this race, and perhaps she'll be able to control on the front end. She's the horse to beat, but 1 for 13 with 4 seconds, not my kind of horse at a short price.
I'm embarrassed for both of us. Blondie. Come on.
Debbie Harry. Come on.
Terrible. 5 minutes away from the 7th here coming up, getting to the post parade.
I always think of Call Me. You saw American Gigolo. I was in high school, right? Richard Gere. It's a funny movie.
We're going to kick things off with Sassy Lass here in a moment. Chelsea Bailey will be aboard.
No, she didn't make an impact last time, but she is second off a long layoff, but her lack of speed concerns me. Has to get a better position today.
Slowly coming out. I'll make that turn here in a moment.
Slowly.
We still have this cross-country pick 5 to be determined with races 8, 9, and 10 to come from Oaklawn. Here's Sassy Lass. So Burl McBride trains second off layoff dating back to April 30th, so been off for a while. And come back, he could improve off that, but it's going to need a lot better. Chai T, Walter De La Cruz aboard.
Yeah, doesn't possess a great deal of speed here. Does have a couple of wins, but hasn't been against Archie breds in a while.
In his 60s and still riding strong, John Court on Hot Springs Bling.
Not exactly a winning type, but ran fast enough out of town to get it done last time.
Taking money, 6-1 here. Shut Up Please at 34-1.
Yeah, good luck. Good name.
Lassie, my girl, blinkers go on.
Well, she did finish just behind the favorite last time, and she was coming off a layoff off her last race. I mean, she feels 5-1, feels like a very generous price on her.
Another one, could take a step forward off a long layoff, second back off the bench, as you said, blinkers on. Rider change on the 6, Francisco Arrieta on Mocha Kiss for Shea Stewart.
Long time between drinks for this horse who needs to get faster.
There's 3 for 37 lifetime for the 7-year-old mare. 11-1 next door on a filly who's been off since early May.
Yeah, layoff and a turn back. I worry this horse will get a little bit lost in this race, in a race where the favorite has the speed and she does not.
On her debut, and it's been tough going since. One way or another, here's the favorite at 9-5.
She's the horse to beat in this race, but she's a 1 for 13 with 4 seconds and a lot of short prices.
Amazing Debate, 2 for 18.
I like this horse's sire, Amazing Destiny, a nice where it ran for West Rock Stable, who I think you're familiar with, just has to get faster.
And War Music off since September, coming in from Prairie Meadows.
Trainer change for this horse, another one who needs to get quicker.
2 also eligibles draw into this field, including Lady Astrid.
Coming in from Canterbury, but didn't run that badly last time at Oaklawn. Rider's first call.
And Ron Moquette with a 6-year-old mare to the outside.
Cut below these horses, big prices.
Turf to dirt move in a long time off for that 14. Let's go to Paul for more here on the 7th.
Yeah, let's take a look at the favorite one way or another. I'm disappointed in you. I'm going to get you on that one, Greg. Blondie, let's go. I know you're an 80s baby, too. Randy Morse has had a tremendous meet, and this is a mare by Street Strategy that kind of took the lead at the top of the lane and then kind of idled a little bit and was waiting for her competition. But, you know, she got home that day and almost got home that day. Now, they've added blinkers and they've added Lasix. They keep on adding little tinkerings to her, and that has me a little bit, tiny bit worried about the 8 one way or another. But she's obviously a major player in here. I also thought the 5, Lassie, my girl, Chris Landeros, is having a solid meet. Melton Wilson's a very underrated trainer. This horse has got some actually decent numbers. And the horse that ran okay off the layoff, now will get blinkers today, was 9-1 last time in launch. Now, the issue is this horse did win over a sloppy racetrack 2 starts ago. And I would think Melton's trying to get some speed out of this filly. You have to be close up on this racetrack. And she's gotten left in the gate her last 3 starts. And she's been able to make up ground, but I don't think she's going to be able to do it against this group. She has to mind her manners in the gate. And then the 10 horse, you know, has taken some money. Amazing Debate in here for Jaime Gonzalez, Emmanuel Esquivel. And I also thought the 3 was taking sneaky money in here, JK, for Johnny Court. Hot Springs Bling. This horse is down to 7-1. Actually, it was 4-1, just floated up. But I know you like the 8 one way or another. And I'm hoping that you can get there to the wire and get your cross-country pick 5 home in the next 3 legs. Get a little money here first, though, JK.
Look, you guys know darn well that I wouldn't have known who sang that song. There's no way. You could have given me 78 chances. I would have never gotten it right. I wanted everyone to know that. I like the 8 in here. I'm not crazy about the price, but at this point, this horse was close up in a race that fell apart. It's always going to be an upgrade for me. This horse ran well on a sloppy racetrack as well, in a racetrack at Oaklawn Park. Not all racetracks that are sloppy are the same, but if you do get a sloppy racetrack at the same place, it does feel a little bit more similar. And that did come off of a little bit of a break. I know it's not the longest break, but from September 15th all the way to December 16th, a little bit of a break. I thought this horse ran well last time. Look, I'm always going to be excited when I see horses that have tactical speed that are drawn towards the outside of the field. And the fact this horse took the pressure that they took last time in a race that fell apart, I think does suggest that there probably is a lot more for one way or another to offer second off of a break. That'll be my top choice in here, but it is a tricky race, but I will go with the 8, one way or another.
Guy doesn't know Blondie.
The newest Blondie fan there is in the world,
Jonathan
Blondie. Kinchin.
Come on, Jonathan.
He's on board now. 3-2
It's a legend. He's a legend.
We didn't know it either.
No, we were just a little brain dead on the whole thing. We're embarrassed. We're in slightly different music genres, Jonathan and I.
7-5 favoritism here. We'll see what happens here in this one coming up that starts this late pick 4. And there's a look at the favorite.
I don't have a lot to say about this race. I could never pick the 8. She is absolutely the horse to beat in this race. I would rather bet the 5 as the second choice in here. She improved off the layoff last time, and I'd rather take her at 4-1. But so I'd make her my sort of, my temperate choice. I worry she doesn't have that much speed.
She used to have speed, though, the 5. That's the curious thing. And now the blinkers go on, so maybe trying to get back to what she used to be able to do. If she can stay closer early, she's only a neck behind the favorite.
No, I think she's a better bet.
Yeah.
The favorite to me has just had too many chances. She's the horse to beat. I'm not denying it. But I'd rather take the 4-1 on the
4-1 on a filly who was off since July. Coming back in December is only a neck behind the favorite.
Maybe she's improved as a 4-year-old, I mean, that's the thing.
Might
and
be a
maybe
better play here.
Maybe she can show a little more speed. Can Chris get her a little more in the race?
4-1 on the 5. We're set. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call. Here's the 7th from Oaklawn.
2 back, Mocha Kiss to pose 6. And Sulway. Lady Astrid also walking up. Lady Astrid in the orange. She's going to go in. Now we wait on Sulway. We're ready to go. And Laroff. Lassie, My Girl, broke alertly from post 5, is up close to the pace, now eases off. One way or another strides in front. One way or another, Shut Up Please from the inside. These two get acquainted on the front end, and they put a length and a half on Shy T, who runs in third with Hot Springs Bling. Lady Astrid is there. Amazing debate in that line of runners as well. A gap of 2 lengths further back in the field to Boca Kiss. Then Sassy Lass and Saboria. War Music the Gray is running in the second last position. And Sulway is the trailer as they scamper into the far turn, where the leader is One Way or Another at 6-5. The favorite's on top. One Way or Another about a length and a half in front of Lassie My Girl, who's chasing in second. Amazing Debate third. Shut Up Please calls it a day, is plummeting towards the back of the field. Shy T under severe pressure, turning for home. And then comes Mocha Kiss getting to the outside, but has a lot of ground to make up. One Way or Another approaching the furlong pole in front, a length and a half, now 2. Amazing Debate. Lassie My Girl chasing far outside. Sulway is flying on the grandstand side. And here's Sulway and Carlos Hernandez from the back of the field running past the competition to win it at 13-1. Second, One Way or Another. Then Shy T, Lassie My Girl, Amazing Debate.
Solway also eligible, draws into this field, and the last time faced One Way or Another, beat the favorite in that race as well. That was back in December of 22.
You had this one, I tip my hat to you. She looked a little tough to make to me, and poor One Way or Another. She looked home free. Chris Glenderis, a good job getting the 5 into position last time. Girl, she just had no finish, maybe being a little out of her game, but I thought he gave her the right ride in here, and it looked like One Way or Another was finally home free, and she just couldn't hold off the 14. Man, she feels like one you want to keep betting against. Just got to find the right one.
Carbon copy repeat of December of 2022.
It's amazing.
2-length lead for One Way or Another, and this very same horse was able to run her down.
She was home free here.
Wow. Ron Moquette Barn with an upset victory, 13-1. We'll have those prices for you when we come back. We'll get into the final 3 legs of the cross-country Pick 5. We'll talk Eclipse Awards. Who could take it home? In the jockey category, this one's a lock. Several records Set by that man right there. Earnings record again, eclipsing what he'd done the year before for Irad Ortiz Jr.
Catholic boy standing at Claiborne Farm.
Thoroughbred racing is taking vital steps to make our sports safer. These include the use of independent veterinarians, strict anti-doping and medication controls, and a single national authority empowered to create uniform standards and enforce reforms. With each step, more data is gathered, accountability demanded, and progress made as safety takes the lead. Visit ntra.com/safety for more.
Back with you on America's Day of the Races on our FS2 coverage. It's brought to you in part by Naira Bets, where you can play it all. Go to nairabets.com and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Final three legs of the cross-country Pick 5 coming up. First, let's wrap up what we just saw in the 7th and a repeat of a race that happened in December of 2022. Same outcome. One way or another with a big lead in the stretch and gets run down by Solway.
Kind of an appropriate name at this point. One way or another, this horse finds a way to run second.
What a tough beat.
You know he's tough when you think, oh, that horse hadn't gotten enough the also eligibles. But get in she did. And she was coming off a little bit of a freshening, I think, right? We hadn't seen her. Last race was actually in the turf, Louisiana Downs, back in May. So her first start in over 7 months.
Gonna get you. Does here again. Ron Moquette Barn, 29.40 for the victory. Draws in as an also eligible to get into this field and then does it again to one way or another. 14.825 here in the 7th as we move into race 8. Mile and a 16th. Allowance optional claiming field. And another wide open betting race here where Bear Oak right now favored for our friend Tom Amos. Just claimed this one off of Norm Cassie.
Oh, we get to make fun of Tom Amos coming up?
You don't have to do that. You can actually say nice things about him.
I love Tom. He is a good man. Missed a call from the other day, actually.
You didn't call him back?
He said not to, so I didn't. I listened.
Okay.
No, he was just calling to say hi.
Very nice. We miss Tom. We're going to see him in just a few months. Eclipse Award finalists announced for all the other categories, with the exception of that horse of the year. We know who the finalists are and everything else, including jockey, and we probably know who the winner is here as well. What a year for Irad Ortiz Jr., but for all these guys, too. Tyler Gaffleone, Flavian Pratt, incredible years, but just amazing what Irad Ortiz Jr. accomplished. He's closing in on $40 million in earnings, $39 million, $192,000 plus in earnings, breaking the record he had set the year before. Led the nation for his 7th consecutive year in wins with 366. He also led the nation in seconds and thirds.
He's as deserving a winner of this award as a Flightline was of last year's Horse of the Year. He was like Flightline here. And there are a lot of good riders who had very good years. Flavien Prat had a tremendous year and a very deserving of being run up. Tyler Gaffalione, who wins all over the country wherever he rides, and he coming to Saratoga and having the kind of meet he had.
He was second nationally in earnings.
I mean, he absolutely is a deserving finalist. And there are a lot of people out there whining about Javier Castellano not being a finalist. First of all, Javier won 4 Eclipse Awards and $4 million in his career. And it's a great story. He and his agent did a great year, PJ Campo, and Javier had a great year. It was a good story, no question about it. Would I have voted for him third? I would have voted for him third. He's also a friend of mine, so I'm a little biased there. So, but the reality is it's not some miscarriage of justice that he's not a finalist. You could argue, you say that Tyler was third in earnings. Well, might have been a miscarriage of justice if he wasn't a finalist.
Yeah, I mean, Javier, first of all, he deserves mention, even though he's not one of the top 3 here. $10 million behind Tyler. Flavien Prat over $26.7 million. Javier didn't even get to 20. It's tough to make the case.
Didn't Joel Rosario have like $29 million? Jose Ortiz had $22 million. I don't think anybody's talking about Jose having this incredible year. Like Javier won great story, winning the Derby for the first time, winning the Belmont, great year, and also a comeback story. Everybody loves a comeback story. A rider who getting on in years, like all of us, and was sort of in a bit of a slump, had a lot of injuries, and he reminded everybody that he's still one of the best riders in the country. That doesn't mean that he should have been a finalist at the Eclipse Awards. And I'm a little disappointed. He's a friend. I like to see him do well. But which one of these guys should he have been a finalist over? Which one of these guys was undeserving?
Yeah, it's tough to make that case. Still, take nothing away. Great story, great year.
Sure.
But yeah, these guys were just body of work. And he doesn't, too, it's an important point. He doesn't ride as much. He's not wanting to put himself in that conversation. Taking less mounts. These guys, he doesn't miss a day. Some days rides every single race on the card several times. He doesn't take a day off.
Right. And
he's a younger guy.
Right. And this is, Javier's been a friend for years. I want to see him do well. I'm thrilled that things worked out for him this year. I'm thrilled he won the Derby. None of that changes the fact that he had a terrific year and he's continuing to ride very well. But so did these other guys. I mean, Flavien Prat, day in and day out, is an incredible rider. The fact that Tyler Gaffalione, and a lot of credit goes to Matt Music or his agent as well, but the fact that he rides in Florida, he rides in Kentucky, and then he comes to Saratoga, and he missed a bunch of days. He started out the meet terribly. He ended up having a great meet up there. He is a guy who absolutely belongs up there at the top tier. And remember something, if somebody gets included, it happens the exception to somebody else. Yeah. And I dare somebody to tell me which one of those 3 guys isn't a deserving finalist. Doesn't mean others couldn't have been, but they're all very deserving.
Yeah, they are very deserving, but we know this one's already pretty much locked up with the incredible year, Paulie, that Rat Ortiz Jr. had. Looks like a 5th is going to be locked up for him, and it's crazy to imagine. He's only 31 years old as well.
Yeah, I think that's the crazy part. He's in the prime of his career, right, at 31 years old. And in his year just speaks for himself to have that much in earnings. And like Andy said, you have a guy like Tyler Gaffalione behind you and some of these other guys, and Tyler rides everywhere. You guys make a good point about Javier Castellano. Listen, to me, I think he should be third in the voting. I'm kind of with Andy. He's like third or 4th. It's almost like, for me, like a pitcher winning the MVP with Javier Castellano. It's like he did all his work in the playoffs, right? He showed up in the big games. He threw a shutout in the Kentucky Derby. He threw a shutout in the Belmont. But what did he do in the rest of the year? And that's the thing you got to take into account, the whole year. Yes, Javier Castellano, revelation. I mean, to come back, and like Andy said, a guy that was a 4-time Eclipse Award winner already, and just having an amazing year. But just there's no doubt that Rat Ortiz was the creme de la creme in 2023.
Yeah, Paul. Look, I mean, I'm one of those people that it would have been nice to see Javier get a mention, but I don't think that Javier necessarily had a Eclipse Award winning year. If you look at what those look like, if you compare those to his other Eclipse Award winning years, this one doesn't quite make sense. I think the story of Javier and the fact that he had some ups and downs in his career, and he's I don't want to say he's not a young man anymore, and to have the success that he had, I think that's what made everyone feel as if maybe he needed some recognition for his year. But what IRAD does year in and year out, it's hard to compare. With all of that being said, I do encourage voters to not always defer to money earned, grade ones won, because basically every year IRAD's going to win. And the rate that he's at, riding for Todd Pletcher first call, riding for Chad Brown first call, and then still riding for other people first call. I just think that I think that IRAD's going to have a lot of opportunities to win this award, a lot of years, and I think that there's going to be some years where someone has an exceptional year that might not mathematically check out fully and needs to be considered. That's not taking anything away from IRAD. He's earned that, and if he wants to win it every year for the next 17 years, that's fine by me. I just want voters to at least think about it a little bit and let it be more than just looking at that little chart they send you and picking the guy with the most money and the most grade one wins.
I 100% agree with Jonathan's point that if voters are just looking at dollars and they're just looking at grade ones, then he's absolutely right. I think it's on responsibility on voters, and there are some very diligent and some that aren't, need to be watching the race and watching them ride. And I'm not saying Jonathan's disagreeing with that rest of what I'm going to say. You watch IRAD ride day in and day out. I would give it to him for the award. I could make a case for Flavien Prat, who I think was the second best rider that we saw this year. And I agree with everything John is saying. And I'm not saying he's saying it shouldn't have been IRAD this year. There may be years that other guys will win less money and they had better years per se. This year, to me, IRAD Ortiz just overwhelmed the competition.
We didn't even bring up the point, too. We talked about leading the nation in wins, setting a new earnings record. Also wins his 5th Bill Shoemaker Award, winning on the biggest stage of the Breeders' Cup when he won 3 Breeders' Cup races.
This guy,
he did it all.
He rides $10,000 claimers like their Breeders' Cup races. This guy delivers day in and day out. Sometimes maybe he overdoes it a little bit because of his desire to win, but you never feel like IRAD Ortiz didn't show up for a race.
But, too, bit of a shift this year, and that's the reason why he came out here. Flavien Prat made that move to the East Coast. He's one of the finalists now this year. There's an Eclipse, I believe, with his name on it in the very near future.
I think he's a great rider. There's a lot of good riders out there these days. He's a great rider, Flavien Prat.
Meanwhile, trainer category. We've talked a lot about Brad Cox, the years he has had. Second time in the last 3 years, he has led the nation in earnings. 12 grade 1 wins. Chad Brown, Bill Mott in this finalist category as well for top trainer. Bill Mott, what an outstanding year. We talked about him all year long. Deepest stable he has had in his Hall of Fame career is incredible. Stepped up on Breeders' Cup Day as well. But what do you think is going to happen here?
I don't know. I think Brad will probably win. I think this one, I'm curious what Jonathan thinks, I think this one is more one where they're going to look at the numbers and they're going to give it to Brad perhaps, and maybe they should be giving it to Bill Mott. Because, now, listen, nobody have a pity party for Bill Mott. He's got a lot of horses. Now, Brad also does as well, as does Chad Brown, as do a lot of the guys who are the top. But Bill Mott, just FYI, Elite Power, Cody's Wish, in all these big races, I think you could argue that Bill Mott did have a deserving. I don't know for sure who I would have voted for in this category. I think all 3 of these guys had Eclipse Award winning this year. I might have favored Bill Mott. I think this one, more than the jockeys, would be something that fits in that conversation that Jonathan was having, and I'm curious his opinion.
Well, Paul, let's go to you. I mean, obviously, Mott had so much depth in that barn and delivered on Breeders' Cup Day as well.
Yeah, he did. And everybody's going to go to the earnings. And Brad had an amazing season. And he ended up with Idiomatic, who was 8 for 9 for the year. And I get she beat a suspect crowd. But Andy just hit the nail on the head. He named 3 horses that are going to be horses of the year in their category. I mean, just FYI, it's going to be the 2-year-old filly, Cody's Wish, and Elite Power. I just don't know how Bill Mott doesn't win this award. That's my opinion. When you trade 3 horses that are going to win Eclipse Awards. I don't know how you feel, JK. I'm not going to talk any more about it. I know that Brad had a phenomenal year when it comes to earnings, but I just can't get away from Cody's Wish, Elite Power. I get they were great horses, but then just FYI just topped it off for me in the year that Bill Mott had.
Look, I think that I feel the exact same way I felt about the riders conversation, except I think this category, there actually is that person that might not be on top of the charts like Brad and Chad and Todd. Those three are always going to be up there. They have so many horses. They win at such a high rate. They're going to always be in the Grade 1s. They're always going to have an obnoxious amount of Grade 1 wins, and they all deserve it every year. The thing about Bill Mott is, and I actually... a very famous turf rider, Jay Privman, actually said this. I don't want to take any credit for it. He does this thing where he looks to see who are the champions in the divisions, and if he sees a commonality there, it sometimes will give him some bonus points for a trainer. So like Bill Mott, when you talk about champions, Just FY is going to win 2-year-old champion. Cody's Wish is going to win a couple awards, likely to leave with a few trophies. Elite Power is going to leave with a trophy. All trained by Bill Mott. That should be taken into consideration. That's that exceptional year that I was talking about when talking about IRAD that maybe could combat what these guys, these elite future Hall of Famers and Brad Cox and Chad Brown and Todd Pletcher do they have accomplished? And I think that that's part of it. So I wouldn't have any problem with Brad winning. Wouldn't have any problem with Chad winning. Wouldn't have any problem with Bill Mott winning. And I think that Bill Mott's going to get a little bit of love because of the exceptional year he's had in terms of Breeders' Cup wins and Eclipse trophies that will be going home because of his training.
It's a little like the year when Dale Romans won. In that sense, when Dale got the award despite not having the same numbers. All three of those guys are deserving winners if they won it.
Earnings record for Cox tied with Chad Brown for most Grade 1 wins in a year as well, which means a lot.
And it should mean a lot.
Yeah.
These guys had great years, all of them. I'd probably go to Bill. It's hard. Chad Brown's a close friend of mine. So, it's hard. I'm glad I don't vote because I'd like to think that I could be unbiased in having these votes, and I think I would be, but I think that it's hard when you're in this industry sometimes. And I want to reiterate, I'm really glad the National Turf Writers stopped having people that are simulcast that work for racetracks having a vote. I don't believe it's right.
See what it plays out. January 25th, again, that's when these finalists will be announced, your winners on the evening of the Eclipse Awards. We're going to get into more action, final three legs of this cross-country Pick 5. 8 minutes away from the first of those three. Mile and a 16th into this allowance optional claiming field. We'll have a post parade for you from the 8th when we come back on America's Day at the Races.
Spun to Run. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more, and he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Now, this multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, and Breeders' Cup champion is passing his remarkable talent along to his progeny.
95, 5, 200, 200 down, 2, in the back, Patrick, 200,000, thank you.
Spun to Run, standing at Gainesway.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
We watched his career, the speed he had was tremendous. So we bought 2 or 3, underbidder on several. Really nice volatile colt in his last sale that I think maybe $600,000. Beautiful colt.
Tom, $600,000. Thank you very much and good luck.
Perfect sire for the 2-year-old sales, and so we'll be bidding against some of our peers, no doubt. So we're looking forward to it. We like a little competition, it's fun.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
Back on our Saturday coverage, America's Day at the Races on FS2 and regional networks out in Southern California. 8th post parade coming up from Hot Springs, Arkansas here at Oaklawn Park. where it's the 4 Bear Oak. Tom Amos first off the claim, as you see right there with that 4 coming onto the racetrack. It was favored off a big effort, but now moving to the new barn. The horse has been on a roll, though. 4 wins the last 5 starts for Bear Oak. Hasn't seemed to matter what barn this horse is in.
Yeah. Tom's numbers off the claim at Oaklawn: 3 for 26 over the last 5 years, 43-cent ROI, 2 for 15 in routes. Throwing it out there.
So you're looking elsewhere?
No, I'll just probably root for Tom. How about the 10?
Here's Highland Falls, who was not in the race anymore.
Scratch, but it's always good to see a little replay of him. You know, like what it could have been like if he had run.
Major play, would have been a major play. Horse was 5-2 in the morning line. Let's wait for the post parade here, and we'll get to Camp David here in a second. Mike Maker trains. Ramon Vasquez will be aboard, and back at Oaklawn, it was 3 starts ago, February of last year. 85 buyer in a win.
Yeah, that's his only race that makes him effective. You know, Camp David, if you drive to Lexington, you drive into West Virginia, so that Maryland, right, as you go towards Huntington, West Virginia, Camp David's right there. Driven by it.
You didn't go in?
They didn't invite me in, yeah.
Thought you'd have a room set up for you. Ramon Vasquez, Mike Maker here, second off the bench for this 5-year-old. It's not just that one standalone race. This horse has a few races.
Maybe they'll bring me in for the racing piece of cords.
Roman Centurion, Francisco Arrieta.
Yeah, coming in from Fairgrounds, where one of the concerns with this horse has no speed at all.
Here's the Wind Machine. Tom Amos first off the claim with Bear Oak.
But he's another horse that doesn't have that much speed either, and that concerns me as well.
7-year-old who is still in very sharp form right now. And Tom going to Ricardo Santana Jr., who has been on board the last 2 victories for this horse. Notary has been off since October at Thistledown.
Big numbers at Churchill and Thistle in his last 2 starts. Is he impossible here?
Yeah, 10-1 right now on this horse. Ardenwood at 6-1 for McLean Robertson. He is quick early.
He is quick early, I agree, but there's other speeds in this race. I don't know if he can be in front of the number 8 Outlier.
He's won 3 in a row, all at Delaware. Sakil with Harry Hernandez.
His last race in the mud at Fairgrounds not good, but his prior race is pretty good. Lost finish behind the 9.
Rider change, Martin Schwann on Outlier.
He's got to come gunning out of the gate and try to clear the lead.
A 10-time winner, closing in on $500,000 in earnings in his career. Money Supply, 3-1 for Joe Sharp.
It's not only is it surprising how much he's improved since Joe claimed this horse from Chad Brown, but the fact that he's been winning going long surprises me.
Yeah, claimed, then he ran second, then he's reeled off 3 wins in a row. Here's the escapologist, Kenny McPeak.
His last race was a big figure. He's another horse that lacks a little bit of early speed, though at times he can be closer, but I don't think he's going to be. And, you know, Post could have a little bit of effect in this race, right, with horses towards the outside.
Yeah, not a real long run to that first turn. Let's take a look at escapologist. Back on November 11th, most recent start when he just missed against Command Performance.
Yeah, you know, I mean, Command Performance, he ran significantly worse in a subsequent race. Stalker sort of dominated the race. I thought he kind of got there and hung a little bit towards the end, but he's been in very good form. That was a much better fig than he's been getting. Maybe he's going in the right direction here. We'll see if he can close into this race. I don't know. You know, that concerns me a bit. The scratch of the 1 takes a lot of the speed out of the race. So now it's sort of up to Ardenwood and the 6 Outlier.
7-2 on the horse we just showed you from that outside post. Let's go to Paul.
Yeah, and, you know, the outside horse in here, Escapologist, seems like since they've put him back on the dirt, and actually I was just talking to Kenny McPeak's assistant trainer, and he said, listen, we should come home running here. I don't love the draw, but hopefully Julian can get a little position, and he doesn't really love how the racetrack has been playing, but he's hoping that this horse will come home running, and Kenny's horses have been running well so far at this meet. When you look at some of the other horses in here, Money Supply, the 9, is just in great form. I mean, when you win 3 in a row at all 3 different distances, you know, one of them was a 1-turn mile at Churchill, one of them was a 1 16th going 2 turns, and last time a 1 1/8 at Fairgrounds. So a horse that you have to at least consider, but is there going to be pace in here for a lot of these horses? You know, Ardenwood is very, very fast, the 6 in here. I'm wondering if the 4 is going to show a little bit more speed. I like the 7 in here, Sakil. Here's a horse, if you look, 4 of the 5 wins are here at Oaklawn Park. The horse does not mind a sloppy racetrack. Two of his best races have been over this strip, over a sloppy racetrack. And I think that you're getting a fair price on this horse with Harry Hernandez aboard. But I know, JK, you're looking towards Ardenwood in here. They're going to have to catch him.
Yeah, I mean, look, I wanted to play the 11 who scratched. So when I was looking at this race for the cross-country pick 6, there was 3 horses I used. I didn't really love the 10. I included the 10 for protection, but I felt like I needed to look for like the kind of longest shot here if I like a horse like the 6, if I don't love the favorite. Ardenwood is that type of horse. I love horses that are forward. I love horses that are tactical. This horse has won 3 races in a row, and if you get rid of that 5th place finish at Delaware, it was almost on a 4-race win streak. And the other thing, too, is the last race, I thought this horse really woke up last time. Ran well. There's been a winner out of that race at Delaware back in September. And then he just took a little bit of a break. Feels like they were kind of pointing to getting back to Oaklawn, where these big purses and these horses have a chance to run for, where, it doesn't necessarily have to be a stakes race, but you're running for stakes-type money. And I feel like Ardenwood is one of those horses that is drawing extremely live in here. He's got a nice, long, consistent work tab down at Oaklawn. He's been working there since November 19th, November 28th, December 5th. December 11th, December 20th, January 1st. It's been working at that racetrack, familiar with it. I'm going to take a shot here with the 6 at 6-1.
Post time coming up, and obviously, the first 2 legs of this cross-country pick 5 in the books with those races at Aqueduct. Now comes the very tough part. These final 3 here at Oaklawn on a muddy surface.
I am with Paul LaDuca here on Sakil. I'm hoping he can be forwardly placed in here. Maybe needed the race a little last time, and I'm taking Sakil with Paulie.
Right now, Sakil 7-1. That's a 7-horse Diodoro barn. We saw this a couple years ago, didn't we, with Diodoro, who usually dominates in Hot Springs. Slow start for him.
Does have a win in today's card. He won with that 2-horse early for him. Yeah, I mean, I think I like a lot of trainers, especially trainers that are sort of move-up trainers off the claim. They're streaky trainers. You'll see them go through bad runs. You'll see them go through runs where they're almost unbeatable. We'll see. Long meet.
Meanwhile, 5-2 favorite is Money Supply, who was the one who had beat Sakil back when they met on December 2nd. But Money Supply had the recency. He has won 3 in a row, as you talked about that great claim. And there he is, the 9. Claimed by Joe Sharp for $35,000 in August. Tight runner-up, just missed. First off the claim, and then he's reeled off 3 in a row. Try and make it 4 here. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
Notary, post position 5, and then after Notary, Escapeologist to round out the field. Notary coming up. Go again. And Escapeologist to round out the field. Pretty wide open betting board here as we wait on Escapeologist for the Kenny McPeak Bard. We're ready to go. And we're off. Good break from Sakil. Good break from Ardenwood. These two 1-2. And now Outliers moving up to come and challenge. Sakil eases off the pace. Outlier and Ardenwood are 1-2. Ardenwood takes the lead. Outlier on the outside pressing the issue. Camp David slips inside of Sakil to claim the 3rd position. Notary down on the inside of Sakil, who's back in 4th. Notary alongside those two about 4 lengths off the top pair, who are pretty much together. Money Supply racing next. He's in the 4th last spot, a length in front of Bear Oak, a similar margin to Roman Centurion. And Escapeologist will attempt to do his best work later, well behind early, as the 9 runners head down the backstretch. Ardenwood and Eddie Gallardo on top by just a neck. Outlier right there to the outside, applying the heat. Camp David, no excuses, 3rd right behind them, placed in a good stalking position by Ramon Vasquez. Notary into the 4th position now, making a joint 3rd. He's 2.5 behind into the turn. Another length and a half to Bear Oak, saving ground into the 4th turn with Money Supply. Sakil is losing ground, passed by Roman Centurion. And Escapeologist has yet to pass a runner. Now Julian and Leparoux gets to work on him, tries to move forward as they round the far turn. Ardenwood shrugging off Outlier, who's had enough. Notary comes on the scene from the 4th position. Money Supply sent along, but he's gaining ground, and so is Bear Oak. Right behind the leaders, searching for racing room as Notary takes the lead. Outside, Money Supply has a clear path to run him down if he's good enough. Here comes Money Supply after Notary in the final furlong. Back in 3rd, Ardenwood. Bear Oak beaten as they come to the 16th pole. Money Supply takes a short lead close to home. Notary has won a brave race today, but it's Money Supply to win it. And Money Supply has won his 4th race in a row. Money Supply over Notary. Escapeologist came on late. Ardenwood and Bear Oak next.
What a claim this horse has been. Claimed for $35,000. He's now won 4 in a row. This purse of this race alone, $142,000. He's going to get 60% of that.
It's more than it's about twice what they paid for him, actually, the winner's share of that purse. More than twice what they paid for him. He has absolutely turned into a win machine, a horse that always had some form. I'm just turned into a horse that's been able to finish routing, something he did not do, really, in Chad Brown's barn, especially around 2 turns. Been a much different horse.
Not familiar with his owner, though.
Oh, Jordan. Well, Jordan. It's a very important box area at Saratoga. It's his box right behind the box for Carvin Stables.
Jordan Wyckoff, well done. Joe Sharp.
Really his dad's box. He's just leeching off him.
What a run this horse is on.
Tremendous claim.
That's been the kind of the story of today. Some very prudent claims.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, good point.
So Money Supply keeps that streak going. Wins as the favorite. Getting by Notary for the victory. We'll have these prices when we come back. We'll get to the Pippin Saturday feature. Fillies and mares going a mile to 16th when we return. And we'll talk about the impact this man has made on the state of Arkansas. It's undeniable, as is his impact on the sport of horse racing. The story and the return of John Ed Anthony to the sport when we come back. Back with you on our Saturday coverage. America's Day at the Races on FS2. Regional networks out in Southern California. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling, got Jonathan Kinch and Paul LaDuca with you as well. It's Money Supply, claimed for $35,000 in August this year at Saratoga. Now has reeled off 4 consecutive victories for Joe Sharp.
Raging form for Joe Sharp. What can you say? He made a nice run to get it done and wear down a very gutsy second-place finisher here in this race. Getting the job done. This race is really forward.
Should claim of the year be an Eclipse Award category?
Well, I've had this discussion about, claimer of the year. The Eclipse is supposed to be rewarding the higher end of it. You wonder if there could be like some sort of award ceremony for a different level of horses, the top filly or mare claimers, those type of horses, sort of the war horse type horses, but different than the Eclipse Awards.
I agree with that. Cross country pick 5 follow along. 2 legs remain. Many had Money Supply. Did they have Joey Freshwater at 6-1? Still 2 very difficult ones to come. The Pippin, the feature. And to close things out, allowance non-winners at 2 at a mile. But here we go. Butterbean 6-5 right now as you take a first look here at the Pippin, mile and a 16th. Lovely ride. Won this race last year. Was one of the great stories of the meet early on in the going out in Hot Springs, putting together back-to-back wins in the Mistletoe and this race.
I thought this was a 2-horse race. Either this horse wires the field or Ice Orchid, who had a crazy wide trip, wins the race. I thought it was all 1 and 5 here.
And the 5, Ice Orchid, that is Shortleaf Stable. And we'll tell you about these connections right now. We're back in a big way. The John Ed Anthony family had been involved in timber and lumber in the state of Arkansas for over 100 years, landing him in the Arkansas Business Hall of Fame. His impact in racing has been equally impactful. And today, they are back. New name for the stable, and his son, a major part of the operation.
Well, a good horse is inspirational, and a good horse makes you want to pursue it even further, but it makes you the rest of your life. It creates a little bit of an ebullience, and you feel excited about life whenever you're winning good races with horses. And they don't come around very often. And of course, that's Cox's Ridge and Van Landingham. That's the Belmont Paddock. And that's, I think, Tipper's Hill at the Belmont.
The family of John Ed Anthony has been associated with lumber and timber in Arkansas for over 100 years. And it's his home state that serves as the inspiration for the naming of his stable and horses, using Arkansas towns and landmarks. In the 1970s through the 1990s, Loblolly Stable campaigned some of the most famous horses in Oaklawn history, which carried Anthony's famous chocolate brown and yellow silks. Cox's Ridge became Anthony's first prominent horse in the late 1970s. The stable had 3 champions in the 80s and 90s. Temperance Hill was named champion 3-year-old male in 1980. In 1985, Van Landingham won champion older male.
He was a front-running freak. There wasn't anything to do about it. That's the way he was going to race.
And Prairie Bayou was awarded champion 3-year-old male in 1993.
He was trained by Tom Bohannon, was speaking to Tom about what a good job he had done. He looked at me and said, anybody could train this horse.
I was too young to go to the races when Cox's Ridge was racing, but was able to sneak into the track to see Temperance Hill run at Oaklawn. Temperance Hill would be my favorite just because of the races he won and the exposure he gave the stable.
Temperance Hill now takes the lead. It's Temperance Hill, Arkansas Derby winner, taking the lead, going off by 2.
He won the Belmont and then the Travers and then the Jockey Club all in 1 year.
I was looking over here. This is the Travers.
Oh, it's a tough race to win.
Loblolly also won the Arkansas Derby a record 3 times before being dispersed in the mid-1990s.
Winning the Arkansas Derby by a neck. The hometown colors of Loblolly Stable of John Ed Anthony, third-generation lumberman from Fordyce, Arkansas, who loves winning this home state race.
Horse racing has always been a way for John and Ed to bond, but since starting Shortleaf, it's gone to a whole new level.
We talk daily about what mare to breed to what staying or what's going on with the horses in Ocala or what stayings we should be interested in. you have to stay on top of it on a daily basis. So it's an ongoing thing that we've certainly bonded over the years.
John Ed Anthony was inducted into the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame in 2001, and in March of 2022, Anthony became Oaklawn's all-time leading owner, recording his 270th career win.
It takes your breath away. The highs and lows in this business are peaks and valleys. It's maybe the only sport in the world where when you lose 4 out of 5, you're doing really good.
Some incredible names, champions on that list, back when it was Loblolly and now it's Shortleaf, carrying on that tradition, becoming the winningest owner in the history of this racetrack.
Yeah, and he's an amazing horseman. Cox's Ridge, he was knocking heads with very, very good horses back in the 70s, a tremendous racehorse. And Van Landingham is really kind of the horse that put Shug McGaughey on the map before he got the Phipps job. He trained Last Trump, who I think won the test, but Van Landingham was a tremendous racehorse. He actually won his turf debut after winning umpteen huge race in the dirt in a bog in the Washington, D.C. International. He wired the field by about 5 lengths, and that was the horse that sort of everybody noticed Shug McGaughey and ended up getting the Phipps job, obviously, and the rest is history. But Temperance Hill, a horse that had very fortuitous reign before a lot of big races, but a terrific horse. And, of course, the story with John and Anthony winning a lot of money on him when he paid $100 in the belt.
And now, as you see from that piece, his son, a huge part of this operation, and they love to talk pedigree together. What do you think about their horse in here, Ice Orchid, coming up at the Pippin?
Well, I thought that Ice Orchid ran very well last time. You know, she made a bit of a close in there, but she moved more forwardly, I thought, than Butterbeam, who sort of took advantage of the collapse. And she was wide, 4+ wide the whole way around the track. Now, but Lovely Ride is now in a position where, assuming she breaks, she's going to be controlling this race. And she had a real trip last time. She had to steady badly on the backstretch. From a dynamic standpoint, there's no surprise she's the favorite. She's supposed to be. And Butterbean, who had everything her own way last time, she doesn't here. To me, she's a bet against. I'm all 1s and 5s in here.
We'll take a timeout. We'll be back. Saturday feature from Oaklawn, the Pippin, fillies and mares at this mile and a 16 distance, and the John Ed Anthony family and Shortleaf stable with this one here. 5-year-old mare Ice Orchid, 3-1 on the board right now. Trying to collect the 4th win of her career coming up.
This is Maxfield. This is a Maxfield foal. Maxfield, the G1 Breeders' Futurity and G1 Clark Hero by Street Sense. Maxfield foal. They're just like him. Walking, standing, looking perfect, and selling. This one made $500,000, the most by any freshman in 2023. Maxfield. He's the best in his field. Inquire now.
At Keeneland, a horse will always be measured in hands. Hands that see, that sense, that speak. Hands that hold our sport to a higher standard. Not for our sake, but for theirs. For the love of the horse, for generations to come.
Country Grammar, resilient, fighting back, retaking the lead, and it's Country Grammar to win the Hollywood Gold Cup.
Country Grammar getting the upper hand, draws alongside, and Country Grammar with his dates with destiny in front, a length and a half. Country Grammar won the Dubai World Cup.
Good to have you with us on our FS2 coverage. Saturday, continuing with races 9 and 10 from Oaklawn out in Hot Springs, Arkansas, including the Saturday feature, the Pippin, fillies and mares. This distaff division at 1 mile and a 16th, and there's a look at John Ed Anthony and Shortleaf Stables Ice Orchid. We just saw the feature on the family in the previous segment. John Artis trains, and you believe this is one of the two most likeliest winners in the race.
Yeah, I mean, she had a wide trip last time. I thought she ran reasonably well in the race. I thought it was a good effort by her. I think it's going to be hard to beat Lovely Ride, who was way the horse to beat. But I thought Ice Orchid did a lot of running in this race.
So Mistyville, Ice Orchid, Butterbean, they were all in this mistletoe, and Butterbean would come out on top.
Yeah, Butterbean got so much the best of the trip and was able to, 2 wide in the first turn, sort of 2 to 3 wide second turn. Got a lot of pace to run at. It was a terrific ride by Julian, but it also was a great setup. And while she has back form, that was her first good race in a while. And I just feel like the dynamics are so much different this time, a very different situation. So I really do prefer Lovely Ride in this race. But I think Ice Orchid is dangerous as the other horse. I mean, they're at 8-5 and 5-2, or 9-5 and 5-2. I'm surprised the one isn't 6-5 or even money, to be honest.
Yeah, there she is, trained by Robertina Diodoro. She won this race last year. She was one of the great stories early on in the meet last year with back-to-back stakes wins to kick things off. Let's go to Paul for more.
Yeah, I'm with trainer Robertina Diodoro, who does saddle Lovely Ride, the winner of the Pippin last year. Did she need that last race, Robertino?
Yeah, I think she did, but at the same time, she got in a lot of trouble, and hopefully a little cleaner break and trip this time.
Well, it looks like she's the only speed in here. You going to take advantage of that?
Definitely. That's her best running style, and we're not going to change it up, and no prisoners here. Hopefully wire to wire.
Well, Robertina and Diodoro are looking for back-to-back Pippin wins with Christian Torres. We got to get out of this paddock. We don't want to get kicked in the side here.
Very close to the action. Yeah, those guys where they're doing that interview. We kept talking about this filly last year, Mare, I should say. And, as the competition got tougher and tougher, like, well, she can't keep getting the lead against better company. She kept getting the lead as she moved up in company in a graded stakes competition even. She's very fast.
I agree. She lost to Mo Ray, who somehow won a grade 1 before her form tailed off, and she kept company with some good horses and got good. And I think her last race, coming off of a 6-month layoff, getting in the trouble in there, and now the situation, to me, she's probably supposed to be even money or 6-5 in this race. She is way the horse to beat. They're very much over, and listen, maybe she will be by post time. I didn't look at the multi-race bets. It's a completely different scenario than last time out for Butterbean. It just feels like Lovely Ride's going to be hard to beat, but I don't want to discount Ice Orchid, who I think can be a bit closer, and I think you're going to see Ricardo Santana try to get that position sitting second, and I believe it's going to be a 1-2 speed number in here.
A Lovely Ride should be all alone on the front end and could dictate things. We'll see if she's able to do what she did in this race last year, and that was go gate to wire. Meanwhile, there's the 3, Butterbean. She was that winner of the mistletoe. Circumstances may have led to that. She comes from very far out of it. She got a good setup last time, and probably, with that pace, probably not going to get that happening today.
No, and she's really going to need, I think to run her best race, she needs every bit. I mean, look at the setup she had when she ran those big figures at Prairie Meadows back as a 3-year-old. Quick paces and able to make that big run. It's just impossible to see that scenario setting up here. She's going to have to do something she's never done before, which is beat dynamics in a race. So to me, it's ludicrous that she right now is almost the same price as Lovely Ride. I don't think you can take the finishes of their last race as particularly important when handicapping this race.
So post-parade coming up shortly for the featured event on this Saturday card here in Hot Springs, the Pippin. As Lovely Ride will try and take it in consecutive years. Is there any concern? I mean, you look at, obviously she moved up into really tough company, graded stakes, which is much different than the Mistletoe and the Pippin, and she ran huge in the Bayakoa. But late in the year, or not even late, but late in the fall, I guess, some performances when she was back in against non-graded stakes company.
Okay.
Is that a concern?
Well, you want to say the race in the mud at Oaklawn's a concern? Well, she didn't get the lead. Right? So maybe she's a horse that absolutely needs the lead to do her best running, and she's supposed to get the lead in this race. I mean, sure, I think that's fair, but I don't think she ran really that badly last time when you consider the trouble, the layoff, and the pace scenario. I mean, it's a fair thing to bring up, and I don't think it's impossible to 6-year-old. Maybe she isn't as good anymore. But to me, for her to be the same price as the 3, I mean, yeah, there are things you make reasonable points about, but from a strictly a dynamic standpoint, she has such an advantage over Butterbean. To me, it's laughable that they're the same price.
Could not find 2 more distinctly different running styles, than these two. And Lovely Ride, it's not like she's expected to have much company in front. There she is, probably going to be all alone, setting the pace, which makes her very dangerous here. Butterbean likely going to be last, very far back early in this race.
Yeah, right, and it's just a huge dynamic difference. And coming out of a race that was very favorable the way it was run for Butterbean, and not only bad dynamics for the one, she also had significant trouble in there.
So Julien Leparoux got his work cut out for him to try and repeat what happened in the Mistletoe with Butterbean the 3. Meanwhile, Christian Torres, he was on board for that victory in this race on Lovely Ride last year. He has remained the regular pilot ever since then, and he's back on board today. So 9-5 as the money continuing to start to come in now on this 6-year-old mare. We'll see if she can carry that form forward here into the 6-year-old season, but probably she's never going to get a better opportunity to get things her own way as here at the rail, lone speed.
Right. Assuming she doesn't get left and something doesn't happen in here, if she can't win here, where's she going to win this year? I mean, you almost feel as though if she can't run well here, maybe they should consider retiring her and breeding her. I mean, I'm just sort of saying, like, this is it.
For her to
this
win.
is the day that she's got to run well. If she doesn't, then, you know, good luck to her.
Here she is. So Lovely Ride, over $570,000 in earnings, trying to repeat in this race.
And she has the smiley face on the lead ponies on there. I just think she's much the horse to beat and deserving of a shorter price here.
Misty Vale, she came up just short against Butterbean in that Mistletoe.
She had a perfect trip saving ground there, but she does have races that make her a contender. I don't want to be completely dismissive of her. She's a player.
Butterbean going to try and come likely from last to first for a win here.
Yep, and good luck to her. I think she's a bet against.
Tis a Macho Girl, 8-1, 7-time winner coming in from Delta Downs.
Obviously, the one that Jonathan didn't use in the pick 4 and the cross country, and I can't blame him.
And 5-2 outside for the short-leaf stable of John Ed Anthony here. John Ortiz trains Ice Orchid.
Yeah, I think that she's the other horse at the wide trip last time. It's a lot like she doesn't have credentials. She was second this race, a Lovely Ride last year.
Yeah, by less than a length. So they will battle again in this year's edition as we are 3 minutes to post in the Pippin. Let's go back to Paul.
Yeah, a little compact field in here and a little bit different than the Mistletoe. And that's why I think Butterbean, I'm with Andy here, is a bet against. And she was giant last time, but she got the crown of the racetrack. And she's the kind of mare, to me, that needs a full field. It needs a lot of pace to run into. And then she can exploit her nice late kick. I just don't see it here. Maybe with a little smaller field, she'll be closer up, but that's not a recipe for her running down the leaders if they're going slow up front. And I think that, you know, the one Lovely Ride should be, you know, cruising on the front end. We'll just see. I think you guys hit the nail on the head. Today is going to be the day, whether she can get it done or not. I think she's going to be a tough foe in here, and it's going to be tough to catch, especially the way the racetrack is running. You know, when you look at Ice Orchid and Misty Vale, they're two horses that, you know, Misty Vale, you can argue last time. I get it. She might have had a great trip. She tiny bit got stopped with Isaac Castillo and had to go around, where Butterbean had more of a clean way. But I think she can sit better in this field, or at least closer up. And then the outside horse that I was mentioning, Ice Orchid, those two horses just got way too many seconds for me. And when I look at Lovely Ride, she's got 7 wins. So I'm hoping that she goes out on the front end. But I do respect Misty Vale in here, JK, and I think she's the one that might get first run on Lovely Ride.
Yeah, look, I mean, I just don't have a strong opinion in this race. That's why I used 4 of the 5 horses. In that situation, though, I did think that Misty Vale made a little bit of sense, right? She's a little bit of a more attractive price of the 4 that I used, and often I actually talked about this recently. When you're looking at a situation like this in a race where you use 4 horses, 5 horses, 6 horses, you clearly don't like the favorite very much. If you liked the favorite, you wouldn't find it necessary to use 4 or 5 horses in a multi-race wager. If that happens to be the case, then kind of by default, your choice is not supposed to be the favorite if you're having to narrow it to one horse, or one horse that you kind of want to press or build something around in some other pool, like a win pool, exacta. trifecta. For me, that is Misty Vale, who is a larger price than the other three. And so, look, they all look the same. I thought Misty Vale ran well last time. I thought that she was unlucky to get beat by Butterbean. I'm always going to kind of give horses that find themselves a little bit more forward, a little bit of an edge versus a horse who closes like Butterbean. And I think that she's tactical enough to be able to kind of get herself in a position, save some ground, and end up working out a really nice trip compared to a lot of these. Lovely Ride, if she wants to be forward, she has to send away from there. I'm a Misty Vale fan in this spot, but like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if any of them win, except for the 4, Wolfie.
Yeah, again, Jonathan in the cross-country pick 5 going all but the 4. So the 1, 2, 3, and 5 for JK. You know, there's obviously the possibility you look back on this and say it was just too easy with Lovely Ride being the lone speed.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I agree with Jonathan about Misty Vale is that she's supposed to be a shorter price than Butterbean. They're overbetting horse based on a win. Misty Vale had a pretty good trip herself last time. I mean, was she a little more forward? Yeah, but she had a very good trip, saving ground, and got an exceptional trip in riding there. Now, maybe she'll get a decent enough trip in here. I think it's all 1s and 5s, but I don't think the 2's impossible. I think Butterbean is nearly impossible in here. She wins, I should pay a premium on the money. I bet this race. I bet exactas and I bet tries. And I toss Butterbean.
No Butterbean even in the 3rd slot.
I don't like her at all. I don't think there's any reason she should finish ahead of any, the 1, 2, or 5. I think they're all better than she is.
Okay, see how this plays out. Pippin coming up, Lovely Ride from the rail, not only trying to dictate things on the front end, trying to repeat in this race when she went gate to wire last year with Christian Torres. He's back aboard today for Robertino Diodoro, and she is the 2-1 favorite from that inside post. Saturday feature from Oaklawn, the Pippin. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman.
An Ice Orchid to the outside. We're ready to go. And they're off in the Pippin. Ice Orchid was off last, broke slowly. Lovely Ride from the inside as expected. Prominent grabs the lead early. Tis a Macho Girl on her tail. Misty Vale slipping inside of that rival to be a joint second as Lovely Ride leads the charge around the turn. Misty Vale easing off that leader's heels to run a joint second with Tis a Macho Girl. Ice Orchid in the 4th position, and Butterbean takes her customary spot at the rear of the field. Approaching the backstretch run, it's Christian Torres and Lovely Ride opening up the lead to about a length. Tis a Macho Girl has the longest shot in the race, applying mild pressure on her tail. Lovely Ride as the ears prick, leads by 3/4 of a length. Tis a Macho Girl right there on the outside. Misty Vale in a pocket now. She's 3rd down inside. Ice Orchid right behind her, drawing level to be a joint 3rd with Ricardo Santana Jr. And Butterbean still at the back with Julian Leperoux, 5 lengths off Lovely Ride, who hits the half-mile pole, still in charge, the margins a length. Tis a Macho Girl keeping that pace modest, 24-1 the 1st quarter, 49 flat for the half. So again, a modest pace set by Lovely Ride. Tis a Macho Girl has come under pressure to keep second. Ice Orchid in the 3-path 3rd. Misty Vale gets a reminder to move forward. There's room for her to come through down on the rail, and she just slipped right inside of Lovely Ride and grabbed the lead. Misty Vale and the white blinkers has the head lead. Ice Orchid right there. Lovely Ride is given way to 3rd. Butterbean not going to get it done. And then Tis a Macho Girl as they come down the lane here. Misty Vale still in charge. Ice Orchid 2nd. Butterbean up into the 3rd position with a 16th to go. Misty Vale wanders to the rail. Ramon Vasquez and Misty Vale, they've got it. And this is the 12th rider in Oaklawn history to win 400 races here at Oaklawn. Ramon Vasquez does it on Misty Vale. Ice Orchid 2nd, Butterbean 3rd home, and then Lovely Ride and Tis a Macho Girl.
Misty Vale, congratulations. Ramon Vasquez, you heard what he just accomplished from Matt Dinnerman, trained by Mike Maker.
Yeah, it looked like she was sort of getting left there. She got an absolutely perfect trip in here, and you were right about Lovely Ride. She just can't run anymore. I mean, they should breed her after this race, because if she can't be competitive here, she just, I don't know what's going to happen. She was awful in here. But Misty Vale, perfect ride, perfect trip. The 5 was 2nd best. The 5 blew the break, but she was never beating this horse. This horse was best.
3-1 on Misty Vale, and yet 400th career win at Oaklawn for Ramon Vasquez. And turns the tables on Butterbean, who actually did make a little bit of a late run.
She did. It helped that the 1 completely fell apart, but she did make a little bit of a run. She didn't run that badly.
So Misty Vale, 6-year-old mare, 7th win of her career. Mike Maker, Ramon Vasquez, and a tonalist mare with the victories. We go to Paul.
I'm with winning owner here, Michael Hoy of Misty Vale, and we were just talking. She probably should have won last time, Michael.
Gosh, you always should win, but at last race, head of the stretch, Doc Yoakum and I thought we had it, and that's racing. Butterbean clips us, but today Ramon slid up the rail, and she just took off. She was ready.
Were you a little worried when she got steadied on the backside, but then he made the decisive move to go up the rail?
He made a decisive move. I thought we were trapped for a minute. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Michael. I know you're a big part of the Arkansas program. I know the racerbacks got beat up today, but this is a nice win for you in the Pippin.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hey, and I do want to add something, if I can. I'll tell you what, I lost my father-in-law around Thanksgiving, Garland Bryant. He was a huge Oaklawn fan. So I can feel he was with us today.
Well, he was with you today, and take that to the winner, so go give it your picture take home. Okay, Michael Hoy, he's one of the greatest owners we have here in Arkansas.
Means a lot to get that victory. Stakes victory in the Pippin, and a big performance from Misty Vale. She was very good on this wet track today. A muddy going. Picks up again the 7th win of her career. And that man right there, as you heard from Matt Ditterman, 12th rider in history to get 400 wins here at Oaklawn. We'll wrap this race up, bring you the prices when we come back. Set up the nightcap next.
Drain the Clock will win and win by as much as he wants. He'll win by 6 in the end.
It is Drain the Clock who will bound home the winner in the Bayshore. Drain the Clock, Jackie's Warrior, a terrific finish in the Woody Stevens that goes to Drain the Clock by a head.
Adelphi Racing Club offers the unparalleled excitement of owning thoroughbred racehorses at a fraction of the cost. We're not just a syndicate, and our members aren't just investors. We are partners. Our New York-based high-performing equine athletes, trainers, and jockeys compete and win at the highest level circuits. Contact us online to get a taste of the Adelphi difference, and let's win races together.
Back with you on our FS2 coverage and the feature on the Saturday card from Hot Springs, Arkansas in the books. The Pippin goes to Misty Vale, who wins with Ramon Vasquez for trainer Mike Maker.
Yeah, getting a terrific ride by Ramon Vasquez, who's really been riding well out in California as well and coming through on the inside. And when the speed horse she just can't be competitive, lovely ride. She slipped through on the inside, got it done. I mean, to be fair, Ice Orchid was a bit wider the whole way, and she didn't break. So she may have actually, it's close to who ran the best race in here. And frankly, Butter being a bit compromised by the slow pace, she ran legitimately well in here. I mean, really the story was how badly Lovely Ride went. But congrats connection to Misty Vale getting the win. Mike Maker winning everywhere.
6-year-old mare by Tonalist. And a stakes win after just missing in that mistletoe. Got to feel so good for these connections because they were right there. And now they do get the money, turning the tables on the mare who beat them in that race. And there's Ramon Vasquez deservedly getting that banner there with his 400th winner in his career at this racetrack, as we have one leg remaining in our cross-country Pick 5.
You get a banner for your 400th win at the track?
It's a lot of wins.
It's a lot of wins. It's like, so 500 another one? Or 450?
You'd wait for 5.
I gotta wait for 5 for any. I might have waited for 1,000. I don't know. When did winning the number of race you won at a racetrack become a big story? Because that never was a big story.
So we actually, should we put it away? We had a banner. You just gave out a significant amount of winners. You hit a milestone. Should we?
Not according to that guy who called my cousin.
Throw it out. Don't give it to Andy. Going to close out the card with this race. 2-turn mile.
I get paid.
Allowance non-winners at 2. Life race, and a horse who's making his first start back since the Kentucky Derby. That Sun Thunder ran 11th in that race against Mage. This will be his return coming up. We have a horse named Ben Diesel in here as well for Willis Horton Racing. Arkansas Racing lost an important member of their family with the passing of Willis Horton at the age of 82 late in 2022. Now his son Kevin hopes to carry on the legacy of his father, who had campaigns such great horses like Will Take Charge, Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies winner Take Charge Brandy, and was a part in Met Mile winner Silver State as well.
Well, at an early age, he was, a cowboy, and I think that got started the love of horses for him and my mother and dad and one of his brothers. One year didn't miss a race. They went every day, got up early and took care of their chores and made it down there for the first race and then come back home. That's the thing about horse racing. I mean, it gets in your blood, and it got in his, and he's been, just passionate about it his whole life. It was a long time later before they got a horse in the stakes.
Lemons Forever winning Kentucky Oaks 132.
Lemons Forever won, I think it was like 40-1. I guess anybody would think they made it if you won the Kentucky Oaks. So he started getting a little bit better horses, which I can't ever remember missing a sale. He would get the books, I don't know, probably a month before the sale. And then we'd go to the sale in Keeneland, in which he'd have all these pages turned down. I mean, it'd just be, and man, we'd spend so much time, and it's always hot. 2012, got Will Take Charge.
Will Take Charge running a giant one on the outside. Lucas 1-2. Will Take Charge gets up.
It just took him a while to grow up until he got it all put together.
Will Take Charge is surging, and it's a photo finish. It's too close to call.
And the winner is Will Take Charge.
He put on a speech at the Eclipse Award that, just his joy caused him to nearly dance across the stage.
They say that a poor old country hick from the hillbillies of Arkansas can never accomplish anything. But ladies and gentlemen, we accomplished something. And we are very, very proud.
There's not many times that, you can see somebody's dream come true. Somebody has a dream and then watch it come true. His health started failing him. Knew something was gonna have to change, and it's probably 5 years ago. Told me, he said, got a sale in Florida. He said, I think you need to go. And he said, I can't go. We was looking for a 2-turn horse, and this here was a 2-turn horse, and just checked all the boxes.
Look at Last Samurai sprint clear in the Oaklawn handicap. Last Samurai is first.
You know, he always wanted to pass it down to me. He knew that I could do it. You got to have a lot of luck, and thank God, you know, we've had some luck, and we've been very fortunate, and I just hope the dream, you know, can carry on, and I can do my father proud.
He loved the sport so much, and he would actually get up, he'd do that, you know, ranching in the morning. He would drive 2 to 3 hours to get to Oaklawn just about every single day of the meet to watch the racing and then head back home.
Wow. That's
incredible.
Yeah, we'll take charge, too. A terrific horse. Remember winning that Belmont. I think he beat, the Travers beat Moreno by a nose, actually. And then, you know, he really won the 3-year-old championship by coming back in the Clark after he ran so well in the Breeders' Cup behind Mucho Macho Man. But then they came back in the Clark and got the job done in the Clark and got him that 3-year-old champion.
Some very good ones. And now, son, Kevin trying to carry on that legacy. They will send out Ben Diesel in this nightcap coming up. Couple of tough horses, though, that they're going to have to deal with in this one.
I'm betting a couple dollars on Ben Diesel. I thought it was kind of interesting. Gets the trainer change. Might be kind of interesting making this change. A horse who's, yeah, he's going to have to run his very best race. I'm not a fan of horses like Sun Thunder. They're all stake-faced, all those big races coming back. I'm going to let him beat me off the layoff with no speed. I'm trying Ben Diesel.
There was some, I had thought some big expectations for Sun Thunder, and he had that very impressive win at Oaklawn when he broke his maiden. Second in the Risen Star, and then obviously his Derby didn't go to plan. But yeah, long time off. If he does progress and move forward, maybe this is the time to beat him.
Yeah, these kind of horse off layoffs, they're going to take so much money because of the races they ran. And to be fair, he did run reasonably well behind Angel of Empire that day, but he got a good trip too.
Rivalry, another one. Brad Cox 2-run Moquette, but a horse who's 4 starts, never been off the board. He's been impressive.
Yeah, what about Harlow Cap? Is he impossible? Come back for Steve Asmussen? He's got some fast races, too.
Good final race to close things out in Hot Springs. We'll have the post-parade for you when we come back on our FS2 coverage as we continue along on America's Day at the Races.
War Dancer, New York's leading turf sire again in 2023 with standouts like Barrage at Saratoga.
Here's Barrage with a final surge. Barrage got him.
Warsaichi dominant on the dirt at Finger Lakes.
Warsaichi has scampered well clear. Warsaichi all the way with the top spot.
And Danzig Queen on the tap of the surface at Woodbine.
And Danzig Queen will come away and win by a length.
Consistently producing winners on dirt, turf, and synthetic. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Lights on. Darkness has set in here in South Ozone Park, New York. Card has been in the books for a bit. We still have the nightcap coming up from Oaklawn, but earlier on in the day, we had a race on the road to the Run for the Roses Triple Crown with the Jerome. Derby points on the line, and a horse that was expected to make a big impact in this race did not disappoint.
No, I agree. Brad Cox, we saw with Smarty Jones last week. He got untracked here, and drum roll, please. He feels like a bit of a work in progress. I mean, it's his 5th start, but kind of runs a little in spots. Javier had to motivate him to get him into the spot, and then he kind of lumbered a little bit. Took a little while to get going, but he's pretty good. Now, Grandiel ran well to be second. He didn't break that sharply. He had to rush up. I thought it was a solid effort by him. Probably a horse that would be better going shorter than New York bred, but a nice horse for Linda Rice, so I think it's finished second this race now 2 years in a row. But drum roll, please. Going to get tougher
Arrogance,
down the road. Yeah, Arctic Arrogance, yeah. I haven't seen him in quite a while, actually. Have to ask
So
Linda where he is.
drum roll, please. Third behind the highly regarded Dornock, the brother to Mage, last year's Kentucky Derby winner in that Remsen, and now wins this race, 13 points towards getting into that starting gate in the Kentucky Derby. Obviously, he's going to need to move forward to get into that race and warrant being there, but it's very early in the year, obviously, and can continue to progress. We'll see if it happens.
Absolutely. I think he's a very nice horse, and he's promising, and that's where most of these horses are. There's one horse that's going to have to fierceness. He's promising too, but he's also delivered in a gigantic way. And to me, it's him out there, and then there's sort of everybody else. I think Locke's pretty good, the horse for Top Letcher as well. And there's other horses, but it's fierceness, and a lot of horses, they need him to get worse, and they need to improve. We'll see what happens. I think
you thought, I mean, a lot of people thought, obviously, what just the most dominant performance on Breeders' Cup weekend in that juvenile, but the best Breeders' Cup juvenile performance we've seen in how long?
Been quite a while. I don't want to leave anybody out. Obviously, Uncle Mo was very impressive when he won. Street Sense was an impressive winner when he won. These are horses that ran big figs. But just to put into perspective for people, on a Beyer speed figure level, he ran a 108 Beyer. I think it was a 110 was the Beyer for White Abario, the Breeders' Cup Classic,
Yeah.
and this is a 2-year-old doing a mile of 16. Listen, you don't know. I mean, he's got to stay sound. They all do. He's got to show he can be as effective going the longer distances as well. I mean, he's got to show he can keep doing it. But based on what we saw in the Breeders' Cup, fierceness is way the horse to beat at this point. Way the horse to beat.
Excited to see him come back. Meanwhile, our co-feature that was later in the card that you saw on the program, if you were watching, the ladies, and looked like Saddle Up Jesse for trainer Brittany Russell with Sheldon Russell was home free. The 6-horse to the outside takes the lead, but comparative not done.
Really, it was a fun stretch duel between these two horses who were clearly the best two horses in the race. And you do say it did feel like the eventual runner-up looked like she had the race won. But Manny Franco, he is so strong down the lane. And I think at the end of the day, he had something to do with making the difference for comparative. It's Brad Cox. Another win for him in a race that used to be a Grade 1 and used to be a great, great race. And it's one of the oldest stake races run in America.
Did not know that.
Oh, yeah, the ladies? I think it's the 2nd or 3rd oldest.
Wow.
Might even be the oldest. I'm not sure.
Not a lot of time, especially when you're down on the inside. You see being passed in the stretch and you re-rally to win. That's what comparative does here. She's won 4 of her last 5. There's Manny Franco. Finished the year as the leading rider in terms of victories on the New York circuit. Outstanding year for him. And wins here in the Godolphin Silks on this filly by Street Sense. Brad Cox is briefly, we'll just go back to that conversation we had. He's one of the 3 finalists for Trainer of the Year. And I was saying to you off air, you shouldn't get extra credit if you've sent out 2,000 horses. He sent almost 1,000 horses. You maybe should get extra credit if you win at 28% when you send out that many.
No, I thought you made some great points to me off camera. Greg was talking about the fact that he started almost 1,000 horses, won at 28%. And this is not a knock on Bill Mott, but he won at 16%. He had very, very good horses at the high end. But, you know, if you're going to say it about Irad Ortiz, how $10,000 claimer, Grade 1 race, rides them all. Brad Cox, also, they're all delivering. And I don't mean this as a criticism of Bill Mott, who had a great year and would be a deserving winner. Any of these 3 guys that are finalists would be deserving winners. But I think you're right about that with Brad. One thing, his horses, they show up. They're all over the country. He's got a lot of very good assistants, but they're all doing a terrific job.
It'll be fun to see what happens on the evening of January 25th for those Eclipse Awards. We still have the nightcap to come at Oaklawn, including Sun Thunder making his first start back for Kenny McPeak since last year's Kentucky Derby when he was 11th behind Mage in that race. Post parade here coming up. Sun Thunder 4-1. Now the favorite is Rivalry. the 2, who was with Brad Cox, first 4 starts of his career. He broke his maiden 2 starts back at Churchill back in September. Now with Ron Moquett.
Yeah, I'm not betting horses to go away from Brad Cox. They're going to beat me. But he obviously is a talented horse. He ran well here in his last start. He's a private purchase.
And in the maiden win, too, Mount Craig, formerly a Belmont horse. That was a horse who showed a lot of talent and just can't seem to get over the hump. So I don't know about that field.
Yeah, I mean, he got good figures, but we'll see. I mean, I don't love that Gary Mary West sold this horse privately. I mean, they've got a lot of horses, but they sold this one privately, I assume. Seems like it.
Son of Uncle Mo, 5-year-old now, trying to get that second win of his career coming up. So he's the 2-1 favorite. Rafael Bejarano.
Wow.
Will be in the irons.
Really? I would bet against him as the favorite.
This will be
Curious
his
what Paul
5-year-old
thinks.
debut here coming up. Try and find some alternatives.
Look at Bolsey. I mean, Bolsey lost to a stakes horse in Giant Game in his last start. I know he hasn't run in a while. He hasn't run in 8 months, but his last race is not. A couple of races are pretty good.
Tiwanaku, who was second in there, is a very good older horse, too, on the circuit. And we see quite over the last few years. We've seen it at Oaklawn. Here is rivalry, so he is still favored. There's Bejarano aboard.
Yeah, he's going to be forward in here, but I think there's some other speed as well. Track Mate has speed. They lost one speed, though, when Redline Overdrive came out.
Bolsey, he broke his maiden at Oaklawn at 1 1/8 back in April.
A little layoff, always a concern, but a fair price if you like him.
Here's the Willis Horton Racing horse, Ben Diesel.
I like that we did the feature, and now we're going to see him win in this race. It didn't work for Shortleaf, but I think an interesting horse on the trainer
We have a
change.
pretty good percentage on this program of that playing out. JJ's Joker at 8-1.
Yeah, he's going to have to get better, even for Chris Hartman.
Harlow Cap, Steve Asmussen comes in from Lone Star off since May.
And that blanket photo finished the Texas Derby in his last start. Does have a good win for Bob Baffert breaking his maiden. Didn't think it was impossible.
Here's the horse who last ran in the Kentucky Derby, Sun Thunder.
A little tepid on the board right now. Maybe he'll end up taking some more money. The faster they go early, the better off for him.
He was second to Angel of Empire in the Risen Star. Track mate D. Wayne Lucas.
And he's got speed, and you know what Wayne wants to do with speed horses. They go.
Cannonball. Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard.
Yeah, this horse would have to improve off every start he's ever made.
And you could say the same for Magnatap.
He's an underlay at 31-1. I mean, he is.
Oklahoma bred, who has been struggling against Oklahoma bred competition and now in against Open Company. 5 minutes to post here in this nightcap. Let's go back to Paul.
Yeah, let's go to the favorite in here for Ron Moquett and the 2 in here, rivalry coming from the Brad Cox barn. I talked to Ron and actually Chance Moquett, who was just outside when they led the horse in. He said the horse has been training very forward since that last race on November 5th. Some good works, and it seems like the Moquett barn has heated up in the last week or so. They started this meet about 0 for 12 or 0 for 14, but they've won like 4 of their last 6 that they've saddled. Now, this horse under Brad Cox's care was favored 3 out of the 4 times and was only triumphant 1 time. That was a 1 3/16 at Churchill Downs. And I'm kind of with Andy, you know, a 5-year-old right now off a little bit of a layoff. I thought there was other horses that you can maybe get a better price. And one of those other horses is Bolsey. I do think the 3 in here's got to look. You know, Donnie Van Hemel always liked this horse. And let's be honest, this horse is a gun runner out of an include mare. So it doesn't get much better for a sloppy racetrack. I know the horses run against on 2 wet tracks, but those tracks were both kind of good more than they were sloppy. I think Bolsey off the layoff is going to be very interesting here at a price. And then when you look at the 8 in here, Sun Thunder, I tell you what, he has got to be 17 hands easy. He is towering over this field. He's a big boy. And listen, he's faced all the 3-year-olds, and he was, you know, only a length behind Angel of Empire, who was 3rd in the Kentucky Derby. So his company lines obviously hold up here, JK. I know you like this horse, but this big boy's got to navigate around this racetrack. He has grown since his last race.
Yeah, and look, and theoretically, I'm allergic to betting on closers in dirt races, but for whatever reason, this one's kind of got my attention. And I'll say it, I think it has a lot to do with this. This is no offense to Ron Moquett, right? But we're talking about Ron Moquett, who is, you know, 7% at the meet. The horse was with Brad Cox before, like how much more of an improvement can you expect? Sure, it could absolutely happen, and I don't mean it in that way, but the numbers are the numbers, and you have to wonder what more you're going to get out of Rivalry than what you've already seen. Sure, Rivalry should be forward, but I think that there's a couple of other horses in here that can go with Rivalry a little bit as well, which is why I landed on the 8 Sun Thunder. This horse has shown some ability as a 3-year-old. And one of the things, and please trust me, I am not comparing this horse to a Gun Runner or a Frosted, but when horses go from 3 to 4, they really do have an opportunity to grow up. What we saw from Sun Thunder and the Southwest, the Risen Star, the Louisiana Derby, the Bluegrass, there's a real opportunity that this horse can really build off of that, through that time of just maturity. And like Paulie mentioned, he seemed to have grown up quite a bit.
All right, JK, Paulie, thanks. Sun Thunder, there he is, 7-2 on the board. First start back since that first Saturday in May, last year's Kentucky Derby. And the big prep that really stands out for him, that second where he took the lead in the stretch in the Risen Star, and he outfinished the eventual runner-up in the Derby, 2 Phils.
Yeah, but 2 Phils ran a very good race. That was really the race that tipped a lot of our hands as to how good 2 Phils was, because this was a race that completely and totally melted down. And what's interesting about it is, should be noted, Harlow Cap was actually part of that pace. And I think I came back and used him in the Arkansas Derby. That worked out well. He got beaten 50 lengths. But I think that's an interesting point. I thought he was the recipient of good fortunate luck. Beige Empire was legitimate. He didn't run badly in there, Sun Thunder. I won't be surprised. Jonathan said he could improve off the layoff. I just not really my kind. I'd prefer a Harlow Cap type of horse in here.
And maybe today not the day, but too, a horse that, starter 2 under his belt as a 4-year-old. Eventually, maybe this is a horse who can become a player in the older horse division. We'll see.
Well, that older horse division right now is pretty wanting. I think they're going to actually rename the Pegasus the Don this year. They're going to go back to the Don. That's my joke, and I'm sticking with it.
You should be hosting this year.
Right. I mean, listen, we all want to see some good horses out there, and I'm hoping that there are horses stepping up. But right now, White Abario, but he's going off the Middle East, so who knows when we'll see him back in this country. Who are the older horses out there? Do we really think National Treasure is going to be one of the top horses in the country?
Yeah.
I know he ran very well, and I think what Bob Baffert learned in there is the foolishness of rating him in races like the Travers. I guess, Saudi Crown could be pretty good.
Yeah.
He'll be going to the Saudi Cup, no surprise for that. And you don't know how that trip's going to work and those horses, so we won't really start to get an idea until races like the Met Mile, the Stephen Foster, the Whitney at Saratoga. Obviously, the Jocko Gold Cup, those races, so the Breeders' Cup.
It's certainly a division that's waiting to emerge and see who steps forward.
I don't want to keep saying it like a broken record, but I'm not so sure. If he continues on the way he ran the Breeders' Cup, the best horse in the country may just be Fierceness of any age. If he's able to improve off his 2-year-old form, the natural improvement.
Step at a time.
I know. But I'm saying.
Yeah, no, you're not. Yeah.
When you run those kind of races as 2-year-olds, you have a right to believe it's possible. It's possible. And more often things go wrong than right, but if things go right, we're talking about extraordinarily talented racehorse.
2-1 favorite here, Rivalry, moving from Brad Cox to the run, Moquette Barn. First start now as a 5-year-old. And then Sun Thunder, the 8, first start back since last year's Kentucky Derby for Kenny McPeak. It's the nightcap from Oaklawn. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman.
And then after JJ's Joker, Magnatap. JJ's Joker's in. Magnatap to the outside. This race starts and ends at the 16th pole. Remember that. We're ready to go in the finale. And Laroff. Pretty good start. Rivalry put into play by Rafael Bejarano. JJ's Joker has natural early speed. Harlow Cap on a hold, taken back to third, approaching the turn. And Bolsey is next with Midnight Rising as they charge into that turn. Trackmate, the gray horse, is running in midfield with Ben Diesel. They're 2 lengths clear of another pair. Sun Thunder racing inside of Cannonball. And the trailer is Magnatap, sluggish in the early part as they make their way up the backstretch. Rivalry takes a hold of the bit, does it well on the front end, opens up up 1.5 lengths. JJ's Joker concedes the lead second. Midnight Rising to the inside of him. 1.5 lengths to Bullseye alongside of Harlow Cap. They're side by side. They're 1.5 lengths clear of Ben Diesel and Trackmate. They continue to race as a pair. Sun Thunder is next. We haven't seen him since the Kentucky Derby last year. He's 9 lengths off the lead with a half-mile left to go. A gap of 2 to Cannavale. And still the distant trailer is Magnet Tap as they hit the forward-turn run. No turning back for Rivalry, who continues to coast on a 1.5 lengths lead. Appears to be cruising at this point. Midnight Rising second. JJ's Joker in an all-out drive. Bullseye getting closer down on the inside. And then comes Harlow Cap. He's sent along, approaching the top of the lane. Coming back to the lead. It's a 2-horse race at this point between Rivalry and Midnight Rising at 15-1. He's run a massive race today. Rivalry off the turn. Midnight Rising alongside. Midnight Rising goes to the front. Rivalry tries to counterpunch from the inside, but he's left behind in second. Midnight Rising starting to pull away at 15-1, and Midnight Rising does it at a price. Sun Thunder rallies on for the second spot. Rivalry was third home, Ben Diesel fourth, and then Bullseye.
Horse who had been on synthetic, been on turf, had never been on dirt at a big price, 15-1.
Good luck if you had him. Some Oaklawn results are very, very tough, especially when it's wet and not an easy place. And I'm going to imagine that cross-country pick 5. I should look quickly at my
very
phone and see
few
what that thing was paying.
Would have this. What an upset. We're back tomorrow. Sunday coverage starts at 2:30 Eastern time.
3,000, 3,200 pick 5.
And the cross-country pick 5. That'll be on FS1 tomorrow. It was drum roll please in the Jerome, collecting Derby points to get into the starting gate for the Run for the Roses. Comparative, Manny Franco, strong finish down the stretch to re-rally and get that victory in the ladies. And Misty Vale turns the tables on Butterbean and the rest of that field to take the Pippin after a narrow defeat in the Mistletoe.